Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Marion Common Council meeting, July 2nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. We're going to call the meeting to order, but first I'd like to invite Pastor Nate Wayman from Eastgate Community Church to open us in prayer. You can go and just press the red button.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today with hearts full of gratitude and reverence. You're the creator of all things, the source of all wisdom, and the fountain of all grace. As we gather here in this city council meeting, we humbly ask for your divine presence to guide and bless our deliberations. We pray that you would pour out your wisdom upon each council member, granting them discernment and clarity as they make decisions that will impact the lives of the people they serve. Help them to seek justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with you. We pray for unity and collaboration. May their decisions reflect your love and your compassion, and may they promote peace, prosperity, and well-being for all of our residents. Lord, we lift up our city to you. We pray for the safety and well-being of all of our citizens. We pray for your protection over our schools, businesses, and homes. Bless our efforts to create a community that is vibrant and thriving. We commit this meeting into your hands, trusting in your sovereign plan and your boundless love. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Wayman, so much. Appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance by Vice President Cowgill.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice President Cowgill. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Fordyce.
Present.
Brunner.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Devine. Here. Witten.
Here.
Cowgill.
Here.
McKinley.
Here. Thank you. And we're going to move into the neighborhood spotlight. And tonight we're going to spotlight Timotheus Jones Sr. Are you in the audience? I know I saw you on Facebook post. Come on up here and come all the way up, all the way up. So I peruse social media like a lot of us do, and I'm always looking for outside the box ideas for neighborhood spotlight. Come on up here, and appreciate you coming in. And I happened to see some people sharing posts about a youth basketball camp down there at Bowman Stone Park. And I was like, oh, this looks really cool. It's free, gets all the kids from the neighborhood in there. It looked like it was well organized and well ran. And did some digging and found out it was Mr. Jones that was running it and organizing it. And I think you've also held some other neighborhood events as well. That's where I think I got this photo. I think one from March.
From the first year that I did.
The first year he did it. So how many years have you been doing this now?
This will be my second year.
Okay, second year. And it's free. It's no charge, right? He basically makes the kids be responsible, but it's a free basketball camp right in the middle of the city there. In that neighborhood over by Bowman Stone Park. So I just wanted to commend you for all you do for the kids in the neighborhood over there and just providing something to do in the summer and teaching them some ethics and morals and, all that stuff all of our kids need at summer camps. But also I think drinks and snacks are provided. It gives the kids something to look forward to every day. And it goes for almost a whole month, right?
Yeah, it went the whole month of June.
Whole month, like was it Monday through Friday
Thursday,
or
Monday through
Thursday?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So I mean, he went a whole month, and that's time out of his day. I know you run a business. What's the business you run?
1001 Moves and Flavors. I have a catering business also.
Yep. So I'll give you a plug on that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So he has a catering business in town, and I just want to thank you so much for pouring into those kids and providing this youth basketball camp. Is there anything you want to share with YouTube or anyone that's in the audience today?
Okay. My name is TJ Jones, Marion Giant graduate 2006. I started this camp with the inner city kid in mind, who parent couldn't pay for a camp. I play ball here, so I understand. Costs money to go to those camps and learn fundamentals that helps you in the long run. I try to feed the kids before we start and after, since they're not in school. It's not guaranteed that all kids are eating, you know, so I try to at least put something in their belly after we get through working hard. I had about 40 kids, hit and miss, rain, heat, you know how that goes, but we had a good time. I think we're gonna do probably like 2 more days just to finish it off because the weather kind of threw off my plan with it
Yeah.
a little bit. So all off donations from the community and out of pocket, you know, no big sponsorship with it. I thank Andrew Morrell and his church for letting me use their property. Mayor Morrell has helped me the prior years when I did it down here at Charles Park, even before he wasn't mayor. And plan on at least doing one day down there when we get that all finished, just to round things off, even if it's not basketball, get them some water balloons, snacks, and just have a good day.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And next year we'll have the Mecca ready to go down Charles Mill Park. So get the kids on that brand new court down there. That'd be really nice. But I'm just really glad. Thank you for Pastor Morrell. I don't know if he's in the audience for providing the facilities there. So, anyways, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Big hand for what you're doing. Yep. And if we could get a picture real quick, everybody come on in. We're going to go in the front here.
Great job. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Who wants to volunteer for the picture today? We'll get one for me too. There we go. All right. Do it that way. Okay. You got to get in the middle, man. You're in the center. Yeah, here. Everybody get in. Squeeze in. Okay.
I feel short.
All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on.
But wait, there's more.
Keep smiling, Jim.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, gotcha.
Great. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you guys again.
Appreciate you. We'll see you at basketball games.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys. You guys have a blessed day.
Of course, Pastor Wayman and TJ, you're welcome to stick around for the meeting, but this might be here for a while, but you're welcome to stay as long as you want. All right, and we're going to go ahead and move into the first responder spotlight. And let me get this up here. I'm sure Captain Paulie just loves seeing his picture blasted up here, but Captain Paulie, come on up here. So this is one of my favorite parts of the meetings. I'm sure it's for them as well, just highlighting not only first responders, but people in the city that are giving back. So let me get my notes here. So I am always bugging both the police and fire chief for recommendations for first responder spotlights because I don't know what's going on. The other council members don't know what's going on every day in the police department or fire department. And then a couple weeks ago, Chief Gilbert recommended Captain Paulie. We already had another police officer lined up for the last meeting. And so we got Captain Paulie into this meeting, and I want to read what the chief had written. One moment here. The city IT department works really well. They hit me with a password change today, which requires me to type my password in brand new on every device. So one moment here. Maybe I printed it out. You know what? I did print it. Oh, I always have paper backup. All right. So Chief Gilbert says, as chief of police in 2009, I hired a young Tim Paulie as a rookie police officer. What I knew of Tim at the time was that he was the son of a very well-respected leader at the Grant County Sheriff's Department, Captain Kevin Paulie. I knew he had a college degree and was a stellar athlete, that he tested and interviewed extremely well, and he was generally a polite, respectful young man. What I hoped for, but could not be certain of at the time, was that Tim would grow into a stellar law enforcement professional like his father. Since then, I've had the distinct pleasure to observe that rookie police officer evolve into one of the finest professionals and leaders at the Marion Police Department. Tim has excelled at every job and assignment he's undertaken. Since 2009, Tim has served with distinction as a patrol officer canine handler, detective, patrol sergeant, and patrol captain. And might I also add the Crime Stoppers coordinator. So I appreciate your service there as well. He has also taken on additional responsibility as a firearms instructor, as a member of the SWAT unit for 5 years, and as a field training officer. Tim earned the Top Gun Award during his basic session at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy and has won the Marion Police Department Top Gun Award multiple times since. This officer has been awarded the Marion Police Department Award of Meritorious Service and separately the Marion Police Department Award of Valor for his actions responding to an armed robbery in progress call in which his canine partner was shot. And in his spare time, Captain Pauly earned a master's degree in 2022. But as impressive as all these accomplishments may be, Tim is simply a good man, as he is a police officer and is a fantastic partner to his lovely wife Lauren and a wonderful father to his daughters. Is it Isla? Isla. Okay, see, Isla and Hannah. He is well deserving of this recognition tonight. So, those are some pretty big words coming from the chief of police. I personally know Tim as well and served on the Grant County Crime Stoppers Board when he was the coordinator, and personally know how excellent of work he did and dedicated he is to what he does. So I just wanted to recognize you. And would you like to share anything with the audience?
I thank my wife for the past 15 years working at the police department, a lot of ups and downs, but also the people I work with. You're only as good as the guys you work with, so I appreciate them and everything they do for me.
Great. Well, thank you, Captain Pauly. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, thank you for your service. Yeah. Let's grab another photo again. Sorry. Who wants to do the picture this time?
Take it.
Oh, thank you so much. We'll do 2 at different times here. You guys want to get in there? Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll get on there. Here, I'll scoot over because you're over there. You got to get ahead of there. All right.
All right.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
And then. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good man. Okay, moving on. We're going to go into the approval of minutes from the June 18th, 2024 minutes. Hope everyone had an opportunity to review those. And Madam Clerk will take roll call. Oh, yeah, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Yeah, we'll take a motion for that. Yeah.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve the minutes by Vice President Calgill, as second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? Great. Now, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Abstain.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Runner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine. Abstain. Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Minutes have been approved. Moving into consideration of pre-approved claims, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Klein. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Runner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine. Yes. Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Moving into consideration of claims. Hopefully everyone had an opportunity to review those. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Kane, a second by Vice President Calgill. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Runner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine. Yes. Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Claims have been approved. Moving into committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is going to come up later in the new business. Plan Commission met Tuesday last and unanimously was in favor of Resolution 7-2024. That is the second item under new business tonight. So we'll be talking about that later. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other committee or liaison reports? Okay. All right, we're going to move into unfinished business, and we had a request this evening to potentially move, or we want to move an item on the agenda to the beginning of the meeting. It is the resolution 7-2024 that's under new business. And the purpose of moving that to the beginning is that we have legal counsel here. The mayor has some legal counsel that's going to speak on that, and just out of courtesy for their drive, long distance drive, but also the expense of their time. We don't want to keep them here the whole meeting, and we want to save the taxpayers some legal expense. So I would like to move that to the next item on the agenda. So, but we would need a motion and a majority vote to do that. So I would entertain a motion to move resolution 7-2024 to the beginning of unfinished business.
So moved. Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilman Runner, a second by Vice President Cowgill. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Motion is passed. We're going to go ahead and just go right into then resolution 7-2024.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Marion, Indiana, approving certain matters in connection with the declaratory resolution for a new economic development area, the consolidation of certain economic development areas in the city, and the consolidated economic development plan for the resulting consolidated economic development area. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell, Jr.
Good evening, everyone. I got a lot of talking to do tonight, so I won't talk much on this. I'll let Chris from Barnes and Thornburg and Andy from Baker Tilly explain what this is and the necessity and the purpose of this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Although I was looking forward to sitting in the additional appropriations that are forthcoming. President McKinley, members of the council, my name is Chris Greisel. I'm with the law firm of Barnes and Thornburg, and I serve as the counsel of the Redevelopment Commission. And it's a pleasure to be with you here tonight. I know that for several of you, you're making that transition into the municipal world, coming here on the council, learning kind of your roles and responsibilities and all the different things that come with running the city. And I tell you, at the Redevelopment Commission, we're going through the same transition right now. We have new members. We have a new team staffed by my law firm and by your municipal advisors in Baker Tilly. And we're really looking to do some house cleaning items before we bring you those redevelopment projects, which we hope that we're going to be bringing forward in the not too distant future. The action before you tonight is largely procedural. However, I wanted to provide you with a brief background on the city's economic development areas so that you have an understanding of this process and what we're doing. Pursuant to the Indiana's Redevelopment Act, which is Indiana Code Section 36-7-14, the Redevelopment Commission has the ability to create what we call economic development areas under the Act. And we have, the city currently has a large consolidated economic development area, which is primarily your downtown area and central Marion. You also have several site-specific economic development areas that are spread throughout the city. And what I mean by site-specific is they were intended specifically for a project. So think General Motors, Central Indiana Ethanol, Emily Flynn. There was a specific project that was tied to that economic development area. Once you create those economic development areas, the next step under the Act is to create what we call an allocation area. And the purpose of those allocation areas, or in order to capture tax increment that's generated from those allocation areas, it's often referred to as TIF, or tax increment financing. And it generally can be utilized to support redevelopment activities within those allocation areas, to support the projects infrastructure redevelopment, park development within those allocation areas. There's some public safety operations and expenditures that you can spend within those allocation areas as well, but they're all spelled out under the act. The Redevelopment Commission is really in the process of doing what we're kind of considering as a two-phase cleanup to help consolidate and put the city in the best position in the driver's seat to perform redevelopment within its downtown area. The first step that's before you tonight is really the combination of two existing economic development areas. Your consolidated economic development area and your Central Indiana ethanol economic development area, and combining them into one. And the reason behind that is because your Central Indiana ethanol economic development area is performing really well. Right now, we have about a $1.2 million surplus year after all debt is taken care of within that allocation area. So we want to move those funds over and consolidate those into your consolidated economic development area to help put the city in that position when it's considering those redevelopment projects and efforts within its consolidated TIF area. And in order to do that procedurally under the act, we have to create a third economic development area. And so you might have seen in the resolution that we created this economic development area that we called the State Road 18 Economic Development Area. And what that really is just a connecting piece to tie on a map your Central Indiana ethanol economic development area, which is all the way out on 18, into your consolidated economic development area. Once that process occurs, we consolidate it into one large economic development area going forward. So on June 7th, the Redevelopment Commission and President McKinley passed a declaratory resolution which started the process of kicking this off. The next step was then to go to our Plan Commission. And as Councilmember Klein mentioned, we went to the Plan Commission last week on June 25th, and the Plan Commission confirmed that the resolution that was before you was in general conformity with the plan of the city. So now the next step in the process is to come back to council to give you all the procedural documents that have been adopted thus far by the Redevelopment Commission and by the Plan Commission for your review and your approval. After tonight, there will be a notice that will be published for a public hearing for the Redevelopment Commission meeting on July 26th, where it will hear any interested parties and then take final action on this process. And as I mentioned, this is kind of the first phase in our administrative cleanup of the Redevelopment Commission. First phase before you tonight, combining two economic development areas into one larger consolidated EDA to help combine those funds. The second phase, which we'll probably be bringing before you maybe as early as next month, is a process whereby we're going to be removing certain parcels from these allocation areas that are negatively performing. They're otherwise bringing a decrement to these allocation areas. And so we think in our kind of initial review of these negative performing parcels, we can help save an additional $300,000 to $500,000 a year for the city in these redevelopment areas. So again, we're trying to put the city in the best position moving forward for its redevelopment activities by doing some of these processes. And hopefully with those initiations, we'll put ourselves in a good position to help bring a redevelopment project before you here in the not too distant future. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I know Andy from Baker Tilly is here as well, and we're happy to answer anything that you may have.
Thank you so much. Any council members have questions? Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass resolution number 7, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Klein. Any discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Resolution 7-2024 has passed. Okay, moving into the next part of unfinished business, the review and approval of CF1 forms. Still have some that we're getting cleaned up, so to speak. The Economic Growth Council Director Chuck Binkard has done a fantastic job helping us get those CF1 forms completed. Many people that are filling those out are not sure how to fill them out, so we're not getting them totally completed. So we have 2 more that we need to potentially take action on. They're both residential CF1 forms for Aaron P. Buchanan and Lauren and Bonnie Western. I hope all the council members received the newest updates with the information completed and signed. So hopefully everyone had an opportunity to review those. So I would entertain a motion to approve those CF1 forms.
Mr. President, I'll move we approve the CF1 forms for Western and Buchanan.
Second.
Motion on the floor to approve the CF1 forms by Councilman Klein, second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? I will add, I believe we have 1 more. It's the Dunn residential that we're still trying to get information on, just an FYI. So we have that motion. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. All right. Okay. Moving on to the appropriation ordinance 16-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $16,500 from the general fund to Board of Works miscellaneous contractual services for tree removal throughout the city of Marion. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
All right, good evening again, everyone. This specific request is falls into our Clean City Marion 2.0 initiative, centered around cleaning up our city and eliminating blight. So it's no, it shouldn't be a shock to anyone that we have a lot of trees in our right of way and are causing damage for multiple reasons. 1, they look bad. 2, they're tearing up our sidewalks, and 3, they're a public safety hazard. So what this is the first step in moving in the direction to remove those trees and effort to clean up the city of Marion.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Anybody have any other questions?
Mayor, if this passes, how long will this take?
As soon as we pass it, I'll reach out to the contractor and get right to work. I'm not sure of their performance, but it'll be before the end of the year, definitely. They'll get right to it.
Councilman Brunner, my understanding, I think it was within 3 to 4 weeks, depending on weather. And yeah, because if they get emergencies, they have to take care of those first. So.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other questions? Okay, we're going to move into the public hearing portion, and we'll go and open that. So if you would like to speak on this, please make your way to the podium. Okay, I don't see anyone making their way to the podium. We're going, oh, okay, we've got one stand up. Come on up, Ford. Could you come up to the microphone? This is the public hearing just for appropriation ordinance 16-2024. So there's a public hearing for each second reading.
Okay.
So if you want to speak on a different one, we'll have a separate one for those, okay? Thank you. Yeah, this is just for this particular appropriation for tree removal. Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass appropriation ordinance number 16, 2024. Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane.
Let me take that back. Let me take that motion back. I want to suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance number 16, 2024. Second.
All right, so the first motion is to suspend the rules by Councilman Kane and a second by Councilman Brunner. Any discussion? Yes, Councilman Fordyce.
I've just got a short comment. I've had a lot of constituents contact me lately over the past several council meetings, and they would like for me to see each one go on to a third reading and before it pass. So I'm going to adhere to that since they elected me. They would like for it, since it's always supposed to go to 3 readings. There are times you can suspend the rules and pass it on second readings, but I just want to make that clear on my voting. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Okay, so we still have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Rules have been suspended, and I would entertain a motion for the same ordinance.
Mr. President, I move that we pass appropriation ordinance number 16, 2024. Second.
Motion by Councilman King, second by Councilman Brunner. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 16-2024 has passed. Moving on to appropriation ordinance 17-2024, first reading.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $90,000 from the edit fund for Wonder Space Play. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
It's March, and I'm getting to put my daughter to sleep, and I get a phone call from Chief Gilbert. Anytime that the chief of police calls me in the afternoon, in the late evening, should I say, that's one of those things like, oh man, something's not right, right? And I get this call, and he says, we've had a accident, and a child has murdered someone at our gas station. And I'm immediately like, so I take my baby, I give it to my wife real quick, and I run through this rundown, what's going on, what's happening, and explain the situation. And it takes your words, breath away, and your hope away when you begin to think that as a city, as organizations, as a county, as a state, as a whole nation, but specifically as a city, we have not done everything we can to assure that our children and our next generation are set up for success. And I begin to think and look myself in the mirror and say, you've been failing these kids. You let them down. So as I begin to explore, what can we do? What little bit can we do as a city to assure that we are making an effort to do something to improve the well-being, the happiness, the joy, the peace of our kids? I begin to reflect on one thing that my wife would always take our kids to, which was this free experience where my kids would get to go to an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, a week, and they would get to play. And I liken it to the Children's Museum. Anybody's been to the Children's Museum in Indianapolis? Children's Museum scaled down to what you would expect in Marion. So to be able to give my kids that experience and see the joy and hope and peace that it brought them, I wanted to be able to create an avenue in the lane to be able to expand that experience for every child in each and every one of our districts, in each and every one of the neighborhoods, to have access to be able to experience the transformational play that Wonder Space is putting on. So I reached out to them, and we came up with this plan to be able to expand this vision beyond just 1 or 2 days a week, but expand it to 3 to 4 days a week in multiple locations. So not only on the south side of the college area of town, but in the central part of the city where some of the more impoverished families live that have access. So this is an effort to be able to expand this reach beyond just one location, and it's for our kids. Our kids need us, and I've got a lot of heartbreaking calls in the middle of the night in just this first 6 months, but there's nothing that that tops that. So what this is an effort to be able to give our kids hope that we currently do not have.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Do you have anyone else that you wanted to speak, or is? Oh no. Just want to make sure everyone had an opportunity. And one moment, I think my phone's.
My name is Stacy Ruberg. I'm the director of Wonderspace. We presented this at the previous council meeting and it was tabled. So I would be happy to re-explore what we shared last meeting or answer any of those questions that were tabled in addition to what Mayor Morrell shared.
Thank you so much. If you want to just hang out for a moment, I want our legal counsel to chime in and give his opinion for the whole council on this matter.
Yes, this is an appropriate use. There's nothing improper providing the funds in the manner that they've requested. This has been done before and by this organization and many others for these particular types of activities. So I see no problem with it if the council wishes to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any council members have questions?
It's not so much of a question as a comment. I went out and toured it, and thank you guys for doing that. And, you know, if I'm going to vote on something like this, I have to be honest with you, I've never really heard much about this before. So I wanted to be knowledgeable on it, and it is a great program. All the kids, Mary, you was right, it's kind of like a children's museum type thing, because it forces them to use their imagination, use their minds, and it is a great thing that you guys got going on there. I enjoyed it. I think I can see the kids enjoying it. You opened my eyes to it. So thank you for taking time out of your day to meet me there and show me all that.
Thank you for visiting.
Any other discussion? Yes.
It was not mentioned, but you received a $1.25 million Lilly grant. What is left of that grant, and what is that money planned on being used for? The next question on top of that is, are there paid salaries in Wonderspace?
Yeah, sure. So I am actually the only paid salary right now as the director, and my salary is coming from that Lilly grant. So the Lilly grant is actually a Christian parenting initiative. Wonderspace has 3 programs. The program that we have put before you with the proposal for play dates is our Wonderspace Play program. We have 2 additional programs. We have Wonderspace EDU, and we have a new program called Wonderspace Blue. Wonderspace Blue is what is funded by that Lilly grant. So those funds are directed specifically towards the Wonderspace Blue development. What we're proposing to you at the request of the mayor is to expand the play dates. The funds in the grant are not allocated for those play dates expansions.
Can they be allocated for that?
Possibly or potentially reallocated, yes. We're committed to childhood well-being in the city of Marion. We will use those funds and any other funds we get. We're not going anywhere. We will continue to have play dates. We'll continue to build. Wonderspace Blue is actually a peer grief support group for families who've experienced death and loss. That will launch a soft launch this fall and a public launch in the spring. I'm actually a licensed mental health counselor, and that's why I was brought on board, is to get Blue going. So that will all happen whether or not this ordinance happens with the city.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Obviously, the folks at the Lilly Foundation have agreed with the promise of Wonder Space, granting them more than $1 million. It's a worthy grant, no problems with that. But I would like to see this money, because of the grant and the money that it, and the possibilities that the grant gives Wonder Space, I'd like to see this $90,000 moved to our Parks Department, where it can help kids all over town every day. And Wonder Space with this grant can do what it does very well, obviously.
Any other questions, comments? Councilwoman Devine.
I wasn't here last meeting and I apologize for that. Can you briefly remind me what age group this covers and how many children are involved in this
Sure.
program?
Yes, we serve preschool through grade 4 is kind of our target age. We are open more in the winter time and in the cold weather because we're indoor versus the parks, which are more outdoor. And we are, oh, I forgot your second question.
Roughly the number of children
Yes,
served?
yes, I'm sorry. Since 2018, we've served over 6,500 different people. On a given play date, we usually serve about 120 people.
Any other council members? Yes.
I'm curious, how long have you all been in existence?
Yeah, Wonder Space has existed since 2018.
Okay.
I'm actually the newest hire. I've only been in my position for 3 months. The executive director, Stephanie, which spoke at the last meeting, had a pre-scheduled family vacation, so she's not here today.
And so, and you state how many residents or how many kids have you all serviced at this point in that span of time? To 6,500?
Yes,
60. Those are Marion residents or Grant County, or you guys branch out further than that? Or?
So some of those numbers would be county numbers. Primarily, the play dates up until this last year, the play dates have been mobile play dates. And so that has been hosted by various congregations, church congregations in the city of Marion and in the counties. For example, Pierce Church in Upland has hosted some of those. So some of those numbers would be more county numbers, but a majority of them would be city numbers.
Okay, so if you could help me with understanding differentiation between the blue you mentioned and what this is for. I'm not sure I'm clear with that.
Yes, I'll be happy to do that. So like I was mentioning earlier, we have 3 different programs. The proposal that we have collaborated with Mayor Morell on is for Wonder Space Play. Those are our free, open to the public play dates where we have play equipment along the lines of what you see at a children's museum that we put out for kids to play. It's always been free. In the last year, it settled more at College Wesleyan Church. With the money that we're requesting in this ordinance, we would be able to expand to 2 additional sites, St. Paul and Real Community Church.
Follow-up question for you. So you mentioned 6,500 and then 120 per day. Is that 120 kids, but does that count include parents?
So yes, that count does include caregivers. We do not, we're not a drop-off service. Okay. So philosophically, caregivers are required to stay and play with their children.
Do you have a breakout number for kids by themselves?
I don't have it in front of me. I would be happy to go back through the records and see if we could do that, if that's helpful for you. I would say on average, a caregiver probably brings 2 to 3 kids with them. So you could do some rough math.
Sure, thank you.
Any other council members? I was contacted and she told me I could use her name. Victoria Herring had sent me an email. And I'll just read it. She asked me to read it. She said, I'm writing to each of you as I have 2 sons playing baseball this evening and will be unable to be present for the public comment or these hearings. She just said, I'm grateful for the nonprofit community in Grant County and the need that each of these entities meet. Each plays an important role in the community. That being said, there is a tremendous issue with a non-governmental entity being given public funds. Both Wonder Space and the Grant County Community Foundation are certainly organizations that do good things for this community. But what differentiates each of these entities from all the other nonprofit organizations that do good work in the community, and what warrants each of them receiving public funds? She then provided the article on the grant, which I think is fantastic. Said similarly, the most recent 990 for the Community Foundation for 2024 found a guide star shows 1.8 million in total revenue. It does not appear as if either of these organizations are in dire need of financial assistance. Continue the good work they do for the community. I ask you to consider allocating these funds. I do share that because it did resonate a little bit when I found out. I did not know that there was the Lilly Foundation grant. I appreciate explaining the different programs and if they could be allocated from one program to the next, I think that would be fantastic. I do have a question though on this. I know we tabled it originally because we wanted to just understand the legalities of that separation of church and state. On this particular program that you're asking funding for, is there any bit of religious and services or speak of anything religious whatsoever on these play dates?
Yes, I'll be happy to answer that. Our public play dates do not have religious instruction or proselytizing. We have fundamentally or philosophically partnered with churches because their spaces are largely unused, and we can use them in a cost-effective way, as well as have resources such as volunteers to help do the facilitation for the play dates. So that's just been a way that we've managed cost and why we have pursued that. But there's no religious instruction or proselytizing that happens during play dates.
The question is, how do you screen the children that get to come? Is there an application? Do they have to be of a certain faith or denomination or any kind of income level?
No, there are no requirements for participants. All of our facilitators are background checked, obviously, because they're with children, right? So we're ensuring safety and providing training for them, what it looks like to facilitate those play dates, similar to a lifeguard receiving training at Splash House, right? But we do not have any requirements of the attendees. They can be of any faith, of any socioeconomic status, any cultural background. Yeah.
My last question, are you guys collaborating with any other entities in the city of Marion, such as the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club?
Not at this time. Part of my job here in the first 3 months has been to start to build some of those relationships and attend some of the different meetings that are already happening and see where we can kind of plug in. So we've connected with the Delta Grant and the Fatherhood Initiative through that. So we have some partnerships that are kind of building in those areas, but not yet.
Great, thank you so much. Any other council members?
Yep. One other question. You evidently had some seed money to start this project up. Where did that money come from? And has there been some ongoing fundraising efforts to still promote Wonder Space?
Yeah, this is a cool story. It actually started with $500 in cardboard boxes that our founder and a group of people were able to secure through a ministry incubator session. And so they were able to turn that $500 into a fundraiser where they were able then to raise $10,000, and they had a match, so they got to $20,000. So over the last 6 years, Wonder Space has raised about $100,000. Obviously, the grant is a huge influx of capital into the program, and we are in the early stages of working on sustainability. So what that will look like is a fundraising team that is beginning to plan for long-term fundraising as those grants are no longer available to us.
Councilman Brunner.
If everything goes according to the way you would like it to go, what would be the first date this entire Wonder Space would be rolling out the way you would like to see it roll?
Yeah, so the proposal amount that we submitted was for an amount of $176,000. If we got that full amount, we would be able to do a soft launch yet in January of this year or 2025. It does take some time to order and secure equipment. This type of equipment is not something you just order on Amazon and get it in 24 hours. So there's some lead time with that and some training time. If we don't get the full amount that we requested in the proposal and we need to come up with some of those additional funds, I don't know if I can give you a date on that.
Is there an age, lowest age and oldest age of what the children would be coming to you from?
Sure. So I shared that the target age is preschool through 4th grade. We do have littles, infants, toddlers crawling around, and we have some equipment that is even age appropriate. We have a play set called Snug that they can crawl around on with some supervision. And so they're welcome to come. They aren't necessarily our target audience in terms of what we're trying to get at developmentally, but they're welcome. And we do sometimes have older siblings too. Sometimes they aren't quite as interested in the equipment and they just kind of age out when they get closer to that 10, 11, 12-year-old range. But sometimes they do participate if they have a younger sibling they come with.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm curious that since you're coming to the city government for funds, and I'm a firm believer in separation of church and state, and I would imagine that you guys are too. I realize you're a ministry. Aren't you afraid of the government interfering in your curriculum and activities if you're asking for government tax dollars? Is my first question. My second question is, do you get tax dollars from the state or federal government that they generate for you?
So I'll answer that question first. To my knowledge, and again, I'm newer, but to what I've seen in budgets, no, we don't have any other state funding or anything like that we're receiving. And yes, it's an honest conversation about autonomy, right? When you're involved with the church and state, those are conversations that Stephanie and I have had and some of our larger advisory board team meetings too. Honestly, we're just really excited or committed to improving childhood well-being, and we think we have something compelling to offer the city. And yes, it's a risk.
Well, I'm completely in favor of your program that you do, and I'm supportive of your program. I'm just worried about mixing tax dollars and government money with your ministry, because you are a ministry.
Yes.
And you're saying that there's no religious literature or programs or teachings or anything to the children. This is some questions that's been posed to me through my constituents and stuff, and they're legitimate questions, as you well know.
Yeah.
So that's one fear of mine. And if you do start taking government money, you would have to allow government interference into your programs. And are you willing to do that?
I mean, we have talked already about working on some memorandums of understanding that help kind of outline that. So those are things that I think if we move ahead, we definitely need to have conversations about.
And the other thing that I had was I noticed your cost. You have abnormal fees for attorneys.
Attorneys?
And, yeah, it said legal fees on your proposal.
Yes.
It was $3,000 for legal fees. Why wouldn't the attorneys do it pro bono?
Great question.
Pro bono,
sorry. Maybe they would. Do they do pro bono for you?
Well, I'm not a non-for-profit organization or a ministry or a church.
Yes.
I do know a lot of churches that have ministers or attorneys that are in their congregation that will do it perform. But I was just curious on your cost that you had administrative costs that were involved in that.
Yeah. I think related to some of those memorandum of understandings, there was some advisory to us to make sure that we had had some legal fees in there to help navigate that.
Were the churches requesting that, since you're using their facilities?
The MOUs? What do you ask?
You know, like College Wesleyan Church, you said you use the church for venues because the space that's allowed.
Sure.
I was just wondering if the churches requested you to have an attorney draw up, you know, agreements so they weren't liable for.
Churches have not requested it. Our advisory board has asked us to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other council members? Vice President Calgill.
Yeah, I would, I guess is what I would like, with this being the first reading, I'd like to see if we pass it on to the second reading, and then in that time frame, I would like to sit down with you and kind of go over more of the legalities like Gary's talking about and the financials and stuff, just to, because I want to make a good sound decision as well.
Okay. Any other council members? Go ahead.
One more quick question.
Go ahead.
How many churches are involved? Maybe you've answered that before, but.
Yeah, so with this proposal, what we are asking to do is to expand to a site at St. Paul and Real Community. Those two sites.
Okay. So you'll have 3 churches involved.
Correct.
Including college.
Correct.
All right. Can you give a quick review? Okay, so you have $90,000. So I'm assuming 45 for each church that we're adding to your program. There's 3. Okay, so less than.
College Wesleyan is fully funded at this point. None of the funds that we are requesting are allocated to CWC.
Okay, so how much of this money is going to be used for physical things that we'll own, and how much of it is going towards staffing? And then moving beyond this year, how do you support the program if you have to have people there to service the kids?
Yeah, that is all outlined in the proposal, and if you don't have a copy of that, I'd be happy to get that to you. Yeah, yeah. I'd be happy to share that with you. So the amounts roughly are about $50,000 for each site to purchase equipment. And then there is training for each site. And then there is a liaison at each site that it would be paid.
Just for clarity, Councilman Marshall, the request was 180,000 initially from Wonder Space. The mayor's only requesting us for the 90 of that.
Correct.
So that's why the numbers don't add there.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Devine, did you have a question?
Yeah, and I thought of another one. Do you guys have an estimation of the number of children that would be affected or would use the facilities once you've expanded into these 2 new sites?
Yeah, we've been asked that by several people. And at this point, we would estimate that each of those play dates would be able, capacity-wise, to handle about 100. So if we're operating at 3 different sites, we would estimate that we would be at 300.
And remind me, I was just reading through to remember, each one will be open on different days.
Correct. Yes.
So in theory, the 100 that could be the same 100 just following the system from one to another?
Could be, although that 6,500 number that I gave you is unique attendees.
Okay.
So yes, we do have people that are, like the library, they are recurring visitors, right? We also think that there are some people who don't have access to our current sites that would have access to St. Paul or Real. And that's partly why we've initiated those partnerships to increase accessibility.
Okay. And then I think this question is more to the mayor. This money is being requested out of the edit funds, not out of the ARPA funds, right? Since we have a whole bunch of ARPA.
Yeah, this is just a first reading for edit.
For edit funds, okay.
Thank you, Councilwoman Devine. Any other council members? Okay. Thank you. Anything you want to add?
No, just thank
Okay.
you. And like I said, we will continue the services we provide, and we appreciate your time to consider the offer.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, if any council member would like to make a motion.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we pass, General Ordinance 17/2024 on to second reading. Public hearing.
Second.
I believe I heard, Vice President Calgo made the motion. I believe I heard Councilman Kane. Was that you?
Yes.
That made a second. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
No.
Divine,
Aye.
Witten,
No.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
No. Can you give me the tally?
5A, 4 nay.
5 yea, 4 nay. Okay. The appropriation ordinance 17/2024 does pass on to second reading, public hearing. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and move on to appropriation ordinance 18-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $300,000 from the ARPA for Marion Public Library Services. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
Okay, now we get to go to our ARPA plan. So the next 10 of these in a row are ARPA plan that I drafted up, and I spent time. And the goal behind this was how can we use the funds that we have left to be able to uplift the entire community at the same time. So these next 10 ordinances you'll hear are doing that with the hope in mind that it's able to affect the whole entire community. So the first one would be the library. So now I'm for those who don't know, I go to the library about once a month, and I spend time meeting to the kids. And when you spend time in that facility, and as Councilman Klein said, everybody needs a library card, and I do have one. So if you don't have one, I encourage you to get one. I'll throw that plug out there. But that facility is a gem for our city, and not to take the thunder from Councilman Klein, but this ask is you have to think about what it's going to protect inside that library in our museum. It's a jewel, and not only is it great for kids, but it's great for everyone for all ages, and it's something that holds our city's history, holds books, and how we are so behind in literacy in this city, in this county. We must do everything we can to lift up the library and encourage people to use our library, because literacy rates are in a dire need of improving. And I believe our library, with this investment, will have the tools to improve the facility to be able to improve the well-being and education and literacy of our community.
Welcome back.
Well, thank
Can you
you.
go ahead and turn the microphone on for me? Oh, it is. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Was there anything you wanted to add to what the mayor said?
I only wanted to update the council that we did receive an updated estimate for our roof. And so, of course, those estimates are higher than was previously in the first proposal. However, I would like to say that in my short time with Marion Public Library, our focus has been on literacy, and we've been involved in the United Way's Early Literacy Task Force. And for this community, I believe that, being involved in our children's education and cultural enrichment is is necessary for this community to thrive. And I would appreciate any support that you can give the library. And if you have any questions concerning the proposal, I'm more prepared to answer them.
I don't think I received it. What is the new estimate?
Okay. So the estimate was done in 3 parts. So the roof can be done in 3 parts, one with the museum and then a couple other spaces. And that estimate was $160,000. Yes. For all 3 pieces.
Okay, because I think the original, I don't have it from me, was like 150 for just the roof. So it's not.
I think the roof was just $100,000.
Was it the 100? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had on this computer, because there were some other things. Obviously, this is
Yes.
more about the roof as well. There's other
Yes.
other things you wanted to use that money for as well.
Yes.
Any other council members? Go ahead.
And I have to abstain, but I'm just gonna, okay, you said 300,000 is the request. The ask, or the bid you got was 160. Where's the rest of the money gonna go?
So the rest of the money is going to our meeting room in the lower level, which is used by so many entities in the community. Today we hosted a blood drive for the American Red Cross. We host public forums. We host documentaries to educate the community. There are so many things that happen at the library, and if you don't follow our Facebook page, please do. But the sound quality in the meeting room B really needs to be updated, and we did get estimates from Marion Music and Sound, I believe, and the expert came and gave us recommendations of what we needed to update that space. So, and then also our Indiana History has put all of the Chronicle Tribune on newspapers.com, and we have requested in this proposal some digital scanners to make more of our history, Grant County history, Marion history, accessible digitally. And so that's what part of the money is for as well.
Thank you. Any other council members? Councilman Fordyce?
I will say that I had a meeting with her and a tour down there, and she showed me around very graciously, her and her staff, and I saw the needs that were needed, and it was very well explained to me, and she is aware that this is a one-time shot and that they're going to use it very well to preserve the library and the museum, and I appreciate your time and explanation for everything that you were going to do, and that's all I have.
Thank you so much. And I would welcome any other council member to come and tour the library and the museum. I'm happy to host you.
Thank you. I might take you on that offer soon when I can find the time.
Sure.
Any other council members? Okay. I would entertain a motion. Oh, I'm looking at the first reading from the previous, so my bad. Check mark. Okay, we're going to move into the public hearing on this. And if you would like to speak, make your way to the podium. Welcome. If you say your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, Linda Wilk, 1016 West Fifth Street. I will say that that library has been wonderful for our family. I have 3 daughters that are excelling in their lives, and I give a lot of credit to the library. We spend every Saturday there, and I, to this day, still continue to be a regular subscriber to the library. So any support you guys can give is greatly appreciated, and it's needed, and it will be well spent.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Go ahead. Welcome. If you state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Karen Creech at 1409 Ironwood. I just think that we should support the library 100% because I spent a lot of time in the library as a kid. We didn't have the computers and stuff, so I did a lot of term papers and research in the library. So I really think it's something that the city needs, and one day all these things might not work, and we'll be glad we have it. So I think we should fix the roof and let them have what they need to keep the kids. My little nephew turns 8, and his greatest thing is to go to the library. And he's been read to since he was newborn. So he loves books, and I think that is a good thing, and I think we should support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead. Again, as a reminder, to state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Dr. Robert McFarland. I live 1468 East Crane Pond Drive in Marion. I'm the vice president of the Grant County Amateur Radio Club, and we meet once every month in the library, and we are, of course, generating new personnel through testing in the library, and where we practice, how should I say this? In case of an emergency blackout of communication, we are the only people to get there. And when the eclipse came through, we had 19 people all over the county and kept traffic moving in the nightmare moments. And we obviously are not-for-profit, and we can't afford someplace else, so that, especially someplace that would charge. So this free access to the meeting rooms in the library is beneficial to our club, which is beneficial to the entire city and county. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Looks like we have someone already making their way up, and then.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Jocelyn Whitaker, former council member, and also I live at 2503 South Valley Avenue. My concern is this: we have a lot of things to spend our money on with these funds, but the question is, once these funds are gone, how will we sustain the things that we've done? And the continuation as a good citizen and steward of money. I'm all for literacy. I started out in education. I grew up on a farm where I couldn't get a library card. When I was principal at McCullough, we moved so that the students who attended McCullough could have a literacy, the card to go to the library. I had my son go through the library. My son has a degree from Michigan State, an honors degree at that, because of how much we value literacy. And we should all value that in this country. And we know the high rate of poverty in our community. But going back to that, where will we go after that? And how will we sustain what we have? Because our public library, any library, as far as I'm concerned, that has a book that a child can hold, is very important. Marion General at one point was giving books to new mothers so that they would go home and read to their children. That's how important literacy is. But the issue still comes down to how will we sustain the literacy in this community and care for all the other requests for money that's coming from this ARPA money. We love to have free money, but once that money is gone, where will we be? And how will we sustain that? I love that library. I love any Carnegie library because I'm an avid reader. But the question still is, where will the money come from and how will we sustain it? Our museum needs to be painted because of years of neglect. And that neglect came because we didn't have the money. Now we have some money. And that roof is the most important thing that needs to be taken care of at this present time, because if the roof is leaking, the halls is falling. And with the damage and so on. But where will we go after that? That's my concern with all of this. I know where you're coming from, but I also know we have this money and we must use it. But we should also think, where will we go after this? That's my concern, because all of these projects are worthy. But do we have the organizations to sustain it in this community? Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Public hearing still open. If you want to make your way up, your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Ruth Ann Sumter, 809 McAllen Drive, Marion. I just want to say that I love our library, not just because I'm on the board. I've loved it for a long time. It serves as a meeting place for several different nonprofit organizations. I'm involved with DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution, and the Garden Club of Marion, and the Historical Society of Grant County. We all meet there. Where would we go if we didn't have the library? I love our library. I spend a lot of time there by choice, and I hope you will come through for us on this request. The community needs it. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing still open. Anybody else? Not seeing anyone else, we'll close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, take a roll call. Oh, jeez. Sorry, guys. It's gonna be a long night. I would entertain a motion. There's a lot.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules on ordinance number 18/2024.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules by Vice President Cowgill, second by Councilman Witten. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Abstain.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, the motion, the rules have been suspended.
Before you say something, mess it up, I'll make a motion
Yes,
now
thank you.
that we pass general ordinance 18/2024.
We got a motion by Vice President Cowgill, second by Councilman Witten. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Abstain.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 18-2024 has passed. If anything, this just shows we're all human and make mistakes. So. We did change the format of the agenda, so my eyes are still adjusting. My fault, but it's just different when you look at it. Okay, and moving on to appropriation ordinance 19-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $204,000 from ARPA funds for Marion Animal Care and Control. Speaking, Mayor Ron Morrell Jr.
Imagine going to work every day, excited to serve. Work for the city of Marion. Your dream job for you. You walk in, and your job is so unsafe because we have not invested money. That when you walk into the facility that you work in, the animals that you're there to protect are supposed to be in the cage that are just running loose. They're jumping on you and biting people that are here to help you clean the place. Because there's been a lack of intentional investment in our animal care and control shelter. Now, this is just step one. This ask is just step one of what needs to be done out there. But we're in a dire situation. I had a chance to visit, and I believe it's my duty as a mayor to observe every single aspect and motion of the city, and I've done that in this first 6 months. When you go to the animal shelter, it's heartbreaking, and I'm not a crying person, but it's heartbreaking because we have ignored that facility since it got built, and not only are we putting our animals that we're supposed to be taking care of in danger, we're putting our people that are working for us in danger every single day. And as a leader of the city, I'm not comfortable knowing that with a lack of investment, any day somebody can go in there and lose a limb, and God forbid lose their life because we have not been taking care of this facility. So this next ask is to put us in a position, not for something cool. I got some cool ask on there too, but this one is a public safety issue that we can no longer ignore and we must address. And I believe, and Brittany's hit it as well. I'll let her speak.
Welcome. Would you like to add anything?
I think it's on, but no, I think he said it perfectly. Yeah. Do you have any questions, or thanks for coming out to see me? Some of you came out.
Go ahead.
I'll start off. I was one of them that came out and seen you, and thank you again, Brittany. Wow. Yeah, and Mary, you're right. I was blown away at the end of our tour. If you can imagine all these cages, I mean, they're held together with pushing cinder blocks up to block holes, putting blocks or boards up for the holes. It is unbelievably unsafe. And then Brittany said, well, here, let me show you. And a lot of times you said, you start there, you get there in the morning, you're there by yourself. She said, look at what I come into. Showed me the videotape. There was 5 big dogs running around everywhere, and she's there by herself. You know, it is a safety issue. And I think even one of your workers got hurt, you know, trying to corral the dogs. And I've never seen the ventilation. I mean, this probably is a first ask, because there's a lot that needs to go on out there. I've never been more sure of, I live in a library, of something that is so imperative, because, and it's not only the safety of you guys, it's the safety of the other animals and the other dogs.
Correct.
So yeah, my vote isn't going to be a surprise vote.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm totally in support of, making it a safe and nice place. But I'm concerned about moving forward that our city makes this more of a priority, so that we're not having to Band-Aid with, fortunately we have this money to hopefully get us to where we need to be. But that was one of my, I think, biggest observations in terms of the city budget, how much money goes towards the animal shelter. And I think we might need to, I'm late to the game, but educate our public as to, neutering and spaying and all that stuff. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it's a huge amount of our budget that I think we need to try and not be the case. So I support us making it a safe place, but I have concerns about moving forward, how that is a budget item, and why don't we put more money towards it, as well as trying to control the number of animals that we have.
Councilman Fordyce, did you have something?
Yeah, I just got 2 questions, and I know we've gone over this, Brittany, that you advertised for estimates on the repairs and stuff. You did that, and then you sent it to the Board of Works, and the Board of Works has already awarded a contract, correct? Okay, thank you.
Any other council members?
just to kind of follow up, Eric, I don't know if it'll help or not. Out there now, but it's like chain link, so there's a lot of give and everything. You're going to concrete walls, which they'll last a lot longer and be a lot safer.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna be a Band-Aid, it's gonna be a long-term solution. And that's what it needs. It needs something that's gonna last us. The building was built in June of 2008.
Any other council members? I'll finish then. What other needs do you have there?
We have needs. There is some cosmetic damages. I know we showed Cowgill some of them. We do have a few things that need to be fixed with the outside awnings. We do have a couple of spots in our garage that may be just condensation. It could be a leak. It could just be a lot of things that we are going to try to move forward to fix in the future. Spay and neuter is a big part of our budget. We have fixed more animals in 2023 and 2024 than we have any other year. And we are constantly trying to put it out there. We do offer low cost options to the public. We do post them on our Facebook page when they're available. We do free shop clinics. So we are trying to make that aware and help that issue.
I have a question. So I went there, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So thank you. I know they were closed, but you let me come in, and even though they're closed on Monday, they're all working, cleaning, and I appreciate that. I've always been in the front area because I actually use the vet that works there, but I've never been in the back. And she took me in the back. She can attest to this. I mean, immediately everything looked clean and immaculate, but I couldn't make it 15 seconds and I probably nearly threw up 3 times. And I have a very strong stomach. It's like no matter what they do to clean back there, it's really bad as far as the smell that lingers. And I get you're always going to have smells. And she had made a comment that since COVID, people come in to make an adoption, they bring a book up or they have a book and you look at the book. Well, that's not really a good way to make an adoption. You want to know mannerisms and anyway, so she said once the concrete's in, then they'll be able to bring people back to do the adoptions and actually meet the dogs, the animals. But if it was me coming there to adopt, I probably wouldn't adopt any going back there because 15 seconds in, I'm nearly throwing up. That's something I'm not used to. My question is, do you guys have a ventilation system? Is it not working? Do you have one?
We do not have one, but the mayor is working on that as well.
Okay, so that is being discussed, the ventilation.
Correct.
And Mayor, can you maybe elaborate more on that? I'm just wanting to make sure we're getting the right amount of funding while we have the time to fix it.
Yeah, it stinks in there. No, I mean, obviously it's animals, so you have a smell. But again, I mean, the gates don't work. Like there's supposed to be a gate that locks if people can't get in and out. That doesn't work. I can list on and on and on. This is going to be we're going to have to build a long-term investment to be able to get the things fixed out here. This $200,000 is the immediate public safety issue. The other stuff is just the functionality and just investing in upkeep of the buildings. And I mean, I don't, in our tenure here, I don't want any of our buildings to deteriorate. We're obviously, as we all know, in this first 6 months, we've been playing a lot of catch up and Band-Aid and patchwork. And as we're doing this, we just have to keep in mind that it's now our responsibility. There's nobody else to blame. Now it's our responsibility to take care of it. We can chip away at it one thing at a time. I think this first thing is needs to be done yesterday. So we're hoping we can take action as soon as possible to make sure this is taken care of.
Thank you. And I haven't been in any other animal shelters. I'm sure maybe you have. Is it normal for them to have like a purification or a separate air system in the back to help with that?
I think most animal shelters try to have a ventilation system as long as it can be put in place. It just depends if their building was built as an animal shelter or they moved in and made it an animal shelter. I think that basically, but I also think no matter even if you have a filtration system, you're still going to smell them, unfortunately.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We're hoping that we can eliminate just a little bit so that
Yeah.
people like you can make it more than 4 cages in.
Right. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, and I get it's gonna smell, but I couldn't believe how immaculately clean it looked, but then how bad it smelled.
I'm a
So
little
it's just,
OCD
yeah.
too, though. So.
Well, no, you fantastic. It's just if you're gonna bring people back for adoptions, you know, they're gonna have to be able to hang out for a bit more than 4 cages like me. So yeah.
Not to keep harping on it, but they didn't even have any heat. I just had to ask her to remind myself. We had to put heat in this year. They didn't have any heat back there. So this is. I mean, we're in some disarray. So we gotta invest in this and get this done. Yeah. I forgot.
Yeah, the heat broke literally right after the big cold spell ended. Like we were still had a couple of months, and luckily the mayor did get that in and get it fixed pretty quickly.
Great, thank you. Any other council members? Okay, thank you so much. I would entertain a motion. Oh, Jesus, I swear to God. One of these days I'll get it. Yeah, come on, Brian.
You're right.
So much discussion. I'm gonna start using my highlighter on this one. All right, we're gonna open up the public hearing for this appropriation ordinance 19-2024. All right, well, we have one. Welcome back. State your name, address. You have 3 minutes.
I won't need 3 minutes. My name's Karen Creech and I still live on Arnwood Drive. Definitely give them the money. I'm a big animal lover. I've been trying to catch 2 feral cats, been hanging around my house for 2 years. And I'm still trying to catch these 2 cats. And there's a bunch of ladies that come and go on their own time. And they came and helped me catch 4 of the kittens that these cats had and got them into a rescue. So they're not associated with animal care. But there's a lot of people trying to help animals to prevent them from overloading the city with animals that can't be tamed or domesticated. So give them the money, and if you have any excess, throw it in there, because the best thing you can do is to get these animals off the streets so they don't turn feral, and you don't have a problem in neighborhoods, and then you don't have an overpopulation. And there's an overpopulation right now in kitty cats more than dogs, but at one time it was dogs. And then when you get dogs in a gang, you have a lot more dog fights, you have a lot more bites, you have a lot more liability. So the best thing you can do is make the best animal care you can and make it a no-kill shelter if it is all possible, because that way people will not go out and abandon these animals. That's how they get wild in the first place. So you have to give them the money. It's very important, or you're going to end up having a lot more trouble in neighborhoods and things. So it's the best thing you can do. And education is the next thing that you need to do. A lot of people just think, well, it's a cat, it'll live on its own, catch mice. It's not how it works. People don't have that concept. So if you get a real good animal care center going, and they get some more space, and you have less feral, because people won't be a tendency to abandon them. I think that's how I ended up with them in our area. So please give them the money.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome. If you could state your name, address, you have 3 minutes.
I'm Ray Daniels, 5142 Southfield Street, Marion, Indiana. And I took my tunic off because I'm representing the citizen, not the Salvation Army, with this comment. I too appreciate animals and people that love animals, but my concern is, I know that we need a safe place for the animals that aren't taken care of. But 2 questions that I have is, one, what is being done to these people that have all these animals that are just out doing, I used to drive from Assiniwall school, and I go to houses, and there's several houses where there's 5 or 6 cats outside their door, not being let in the house. They're just running rampant, and a couple other places where I see other animals. So my concern is, yes, we build this and we spend this money, which I agree needs to be done for the safety of everyone, but is it the city's responsibility to take care of these animals that people are adopting or people are taking and then causing, not just putting them out on tie-outs or putting them out outside? That would be my concern, because if we do have a build a better facility, which we need, like for protection, but at what point do we then put the responsibility back on the citizens, saying, you know, this is your animal, you wanted this animal, and now you're just turning your back. Is there some kind of fund that they can then in turn say, you know, you adopted this animal, we'll take it in, but you're gonna pay for us to take this animal, because we have to run this facility. And another thing was, I'm glad that she mentioned low cost spaying and neutering, because the last time I had my dog spayed, it cost me over $400. So for that, that's a good chunk for, you know, and I work and my wife works, and we don't have, you know, we don't want, but to spend $400 to spade, I mean, if you have somebody that has 5 or 6 dogs in their house, which I've seen it, then that is a question, and then that is a concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing still open. Anyone else? All right, not seeing anyone else make their way forward, I'll close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance 19/2024.
Motion by Vice President Calgill, second by Councilman Klein. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Rules have been suspended. I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion now that we pass general ordinance 19/2024.
Second.
Motion by Vice President Calgill, a second by Councilman Brunner. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 19-2024 has passed. Moving on to appropriation ordinance 20-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $400,000 from the ARPA fund for the Marion Municipal Airport. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
I'm big on entrances into the city, and as you know, we're working on redoing our city signs all around Marion's entrances. The airport is the gateway to many people, especially people who are looking to invest into the city. Is the gateway and the first thing they're going to see when they arrive in the city of Marion. So the airport, needs a lot, but this right here, I think is one of their most, as it was communicated to me, one of their most dire needs. I don't want to try to get technical and explain what it is, but it's in the layman terms, how I understand it, is they're upgrading their fuel tanks to above ground fuel tanks that will hold more fuel and be more environmentally friendly and easier to maintain. And I don't know if I have any airport representatives here that want to share about this. That could probably give you a little more detail and elaborate and answer any more questions.
You want to come up here and use my mic? Is that possible, Mr. President?
Sure, yeah. We will accommodate however we need.
Good evening, Jim McKinney, President of the Board of Aviation. I knew the day would come in which you would have to wheel me before the council, and here it is, I'm here on wheels. The importance of this airport to the city of Marion and the continued growth that we're seeing in Marion is of the utmost importance. we find ourselves in a situation where we're seeing more and more larger aircraft, jet-type aircraft that need a spatial fuel in order to operate, that are finding a limited supply at times at our airport. This is an opportunity for us that is really a rare opportunity in which we're able to get 50% support of this from the federal government. But we need to ask for the passage of this resolution so that we can do the total project at one time, general aviation fuel as well as jet fuel. I'm open to any questions that you might have.
Any council members, questions? Great, thank you so much. Did you have a question?
I was just saying, just as a reminder, this is replacing the 2 underground fuel tanks.
That is correct.
And these are higher capacity, so it's cheaper to purchase the fuel as well as the
Well,
ability
the
to.
FAA is requiring that the jet tank has to remain in the ground so that we can have 12,000 in that tank and 12,000 in the above ground tank. And therefore we would be purchasing, would be able to purchase a full truckload of fuel, which is 8,500 gallons at a time with the increased capacity.
And were you guys pulling one of the underground tanks out?
We are going to pull the 80 octane tank out. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Great, any other council members? Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We're gonna move, and we're gonna go ahead and move it into the public hearing portion.
Good job.
Microphone is open. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone make their way up, so I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance number 20, 2024.
Second. Motion by Councilman Kane and a second by Councilman Klein to suspend the rules. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, rules have been suspended, and I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass appropriation ordinance number 20, 2024.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Klein. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 20-2024 has passed. Moving on to appropriation ordinance 21-2024, second reading, public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $400,000 from the ARPA fund for the Grant County Economic Growth Council. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
Small business is the backbone of America, and specifically the backbone of our city. When small businesses come to me, quite often, whether it's startups or people who have 5, 10, 15, 20 employees who've been operating for a while, it's a wide gamut, and they ask you what resources or what programs, what do we have, what does the city offer to help small businesses succeed, to help small businesses start, succeed, and continue to grow in the city of Marion? My answer right now is zero. The city doesn't offer anything. So as I was drafting this ARPA plan, I wanted to take and create a revolving loan fund through the Growth Council. So these next couple, I want people to be clear what it is. We're not giving money to the Growth Council for the Growth Council to do what they want to do with. This is money that is going to the Growth Council for them to host our revolving loan fund, to be able to assist with small businesses. And through this, we've set up an application process that we've sent to everyone, and there will be a committee. There will be a committee that oversees this from appointees from the council, the mayor's office, and from the Growth Council. So this is going to be money that's going to be only invested into businesses that are in Marion, Indiana, and selected by the committee through the application at a maximum of $50,000.
Thank you, Mayor. Is anyone else here to speak, or just you? Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, any council members have questions? Go ahead.
Just since it's public hearing and we have public here, explain how this is going to work. Is it a one-shot deal? What will the business people have to do to show their sustainability? Give us some more details of how this is going to work, please.
There's an application process that's thorough, and I think I sent this to everyone, and it's obviously will be available for the public as well. But it's very detailed. It's not. It's the same kind of, I'm not gonna call it scrutiny, but same kind of thoroughness that you would get from a bank. But this committee that we'll be selecting, and what makes this unique is they're specifically looking after small businesses that might not have the same success with traditional financing. And we're offering at a percent of 1%, which obviously everybody knows money is very expensive right now, and you can't get that anywhere. So what this is doing is incentivizing businesses and small businesses in Marion to grow, and incentivizing new businesses to start up and choose Marion as their location.
Any other council members? Councilwoman Devine? Oh.
And remind us, is there a time period for the loan payback? Was it a 10-year maximum?
Yeah, that would be the maximum, but that would be a part of the committee's selection. We won't go past that, but the committee will be a part of determining the terms for the loan.
And is there going to be a requirement for the size of business, or is that just by small?
Well,
what's the threshold?
I'm sorry. The U.S. I think defines small business very differently. I think they consider everybody like 150 employees under small business, but that's technically kind of big. So we'll have to create, if we can go with what their standard of small business is, or the committee can say we're focusing on small business as 50 employees and under. So that'll be again a part of the committee's creation of that.
Councilman Fordyce?
I think that the point that he made that was great, and Chuck Linkard made this point that'll kind of give you some help on this, Mike, is it's not a one-time shot with the $400,000 that's going to the Economic Development Commission, because as the loans are paid back, it's going to be re-loaned out. So it's going to be a general initiation of $400,000, but then that $400,000 will always come back to where they can reloan the money out.
Thank you for that, Councilman Fordyce. Any other council members? Okay. All right, we're moving to the public hearing portion. So if you would like to speak on this, make your way up to the microphone, state your name, and you have 3 minutes, and I'm sorry, address as well.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Walsh, and my address is 904 North Oxford Drive here in Marion. My maiden name is actually Greider, so I was born and raised here in Marion, Indiana. I went to Marion High School and was a giant. Graduated in 2004. Had the privilege of going off and joining the Navy. So I served in active duty Navy for just over 10 years and reserves for 3 years, and that's where I met my husband here. He's a Marine. Don't hold that against him. Or was or is, whatever. But I'm here today speaking in support of this revolving loan fund because we are attempting to start a business here in Marion, Indiana, and we have been for quite some time. And boy, have I learned a lot about how to start a business and how much it costs. And so we have been working for the better part of 2 to 3 years now on trying to secure funds and meet with various entities and get things done to be able to get our business moving forward to the point where hopefully we can help grow the city of Marion. You know, I went off and got to see a lot of the world. I feel very privileged for that, and still chose to come back here to have our family and grow our family and hopefully grow this community. I believe in Marion and the people here and the city, and I want to see it flourish. And so I'd like to just offer this vote of vocal support and in hopes to one day be considered for this fund, as it would be very beneficial for our business and enable us to move forward to be considered for any part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Mike Walsh, 904 North Oxford Drive. Yes, we do live together. My background is I'm originally from right outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Liz and I both met while we were serving back at our alma mater at the United States Naval Academy in Maryland. And during COVID, we were living on the East Coast in a shoebox in an apartment, and she introduced me to coming back here to Marion to live with her sister for several months, and I fell in love with this area. Like, I've been to Okinawa, I've been to the Philippines, I've been to South Korea, I've been all over the world, I've been all over this country, and there's something special about this section of the country, especially this section of Indiana, between the history and the beauty, and for this specific opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity that can be found here in this area, and I believe that this mayor's push to have this revolving loan fund would help small businesses like us flourish and be able to bring more people to this area, to be able to increase not only the foot traffic of this area, but increase revenue for all of us citizens as well as for the rest of the government that's here. So thank you for your time.
And thank you for your service.
Hello, Council. My name's Bill Heller. I live at 643 Candlewood Drive. Generally speaking, I think this is probably a good idea. However, based on past experience, I've watched this council dole out all sorts of tax abatements with promises of jobs and so on, and no follow-up whatsoever. So I would suggest that there be some really stringent procedures put in place to see that these loans are being used in the fashion that they're applied for, and that the appropriate follow-up is provided. That's my observation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith Bennett, 2560 East Mark Sarah Drive. Council members, President McKinley, and my constituents. I am a witness, and I can testify today that I have talked to the powers that be and said, can I get any help? And they said, I ain't got nothing. So 5 years ago, my wife and I co-owned Los Amores. We invested in downtown Marion. At that time, approached the Economic Growth Council to no avail. We wanted to be here, so we put our house up, we put our cars up, we put everything that we had up, our savings up to do this. Rising food costs, rising rent, and things of that nature has forced us into some tough decisions. And so we've had to adjust our business. We would like to find another building to go into. Pre-COVID, I had 22 employees. COVID knocked that down to, we revolved around 12 to 14. We currently have 3. So I would like to get that number back up, and I believe that I can do so. I do want to stay downtown. Finding resources and financing is not an easy thing in today's society and where we're at right now. And so this is going to be one avenue to help. I did get a COVID loan, PPP, from the Economic Growth Council during that time, which we was able to pay back. So we've had a really good relationship with the Economic Growth Council. It has helped sustain jobs. It has helped sustain the jobs at that time. I do want to continue to grow these buildings downtown. They're basically warehouses or office buildings. And so there needs to be some major adjustments done to these buildings to make them work in different capacities so that we can hire these people back. The Economic Growth Council has helped me get a food truck, retain the 3 employees that I have. We were at Marion Health today, where they were able to come out and get a good lunch. And so this works. I know that the library is important. I know that animals are important. I know that, but what is going on is healthy in this city. I'm proud to be in this city. I'm proud to do business here. And this is just going to help continue to move the River District and everything that I think is going on downtown. There's such a positive energy. And I think that appropriating this
All
in
right, thank
segments is...
3 minutes is up.
Okay.
So
We should pass it.
thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, anybody else?
I'm going to have my mail delivered up here. I think that it's a good idea, and I'm all for small business. I'm all for small business loans. However, I don't think that this should be passed tonight until all of the rules and regulations are put out. So everyone who applies will know whether they need to bother. If they don't qualify, then they won't be wasting their time or the city's time or the Economic Growth Council's time of going through the application process. So if you are going to limit the number of employees to 50, then that should be known upfront before anything is allocated. It's not because I don't think it's a good idea. I'm all for it. Someday I may want to have a small business. I'm all for that. I'm all for helping anyone that wants to build and put money back in our community. But I think all the rules and things should be written out ahead of time and known up front. Exactly, is it going to be a franchise? It's got to be citizen of Marion. You have to be a resident here for longer than a day. Can you use someone else's address if they're a family member that is a resident here and you live someplace else? I mean, there's a lot of things that should be explained and be clear before you start the application, so someone's not disappointed, go through all the stuff and then find out, well, I have to be a resident here for 6 months. I didn't know that. I think all that stuff should be up front before it's approved. I think it should be approved, but I think you should take the necessary time for all of those things to be explained out, written out, and agreed upon ahead of time, and then let that known to everyone who wants to apply, and then they'll know, well, I'm going to have more than 50, or I'm a franchise and I don't qualify, or I don't live here, or whatever the rules are going to be. I just think that should be up front before you start taking applications. Don't put the cart before the horse, so to speak, but I think you should do it. I just think you should take the necessary steps first. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Bill Creech. I live at 1409 Ironwood here in Marion. I just had a question. I do support this, but my question is, with the economic development, do you have an idea, a map of the businesses that you're trying to attract and how many? Because I could see this kind of possibly 400,000. That's 8 businesses at $50,000. Is that going to be 8 food places? Or, what's the overall economic plan? Do you want 3 retail stores, 3 food places to jumpstart it? The mix, the economic mix is what I guess I question. And is there a plan, something for that, or is it just whatever comes about? So I just want to know, is there a plan to attract different categories of business? And I didn't know if that was being considered or not, and how you evaluate what was being approved and not being approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I'm not seeing anyone else move forward, so we're gonna go and close the public hearing portion. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance number 21, 2024.
Motion to suspend the rules by Councilman Kane, a second by Vice President Calgill. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Rules have been suspended, and I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass appropriation ordinance number 21, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Vice President Calgill. Any discussion? I will add, just to kind of respond, there are no applications being taken until this money is appropriated. This money gets appropriated, then that committee will be formed. So it wasn't a purpose to form a committee if the money wasn't funded yet. So I can assure the public that I'm, full disclosure, the council's, we'll say, appointed representative on the Economic Growth Council. And during committee reports, during other meetings, I'm more than happy to come back and report on the status of what's going on with this fund. And so long as I'm still in that position, but I can assure you that we already at the Growth Council have a revolving loan fund, but it's for the whole county. And it is, everything is ran through. We require lots of financials, residency information. Is a very thorough process. And so that same process I can see being applied to this. This fund is just for Marion businesses, Marion residents, to keep the economic development within our city. But I can assure you that it's very, we'll say, stringent as far as making sure we're giving the money out properly. We even ask for if there's anything we can put a lien against. So we want this money to keep coming back. So if somebody were to default, we want to be able to recoup some or all of that, possibly as a lien holder on objects, items, whatever they have. So I just wanted to add that, try and maybe answer some questions we got through the public hearing. All right. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 21-2024 has passed. Okay, I'm going to take like a 10-minute recess. We do have quite a bit left, and take a 10-minute restroom break, and we're going to resume here at 9:15.
Oh my gosh, if I can get up.
As long as you get up.
Okay, all right, see you.
Great stuff. You all right?
They didn't put their votes in here, so let me get that. Was it necessary? Everybody signed it. All right, wrap her up. By 9:30.
Thank you. I'm just. I'm back here.
Kept hearing it around.
I'm following your
Oh, did you? Well, people will appreciate that. What's happening right now?
Yeah, man. But physics is coming out.
You better if I back on one. Halftime, I know, right? How you doing? Good to see you.
All right, we got another about 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Yeah, I'm getting my. I'm about to right now. I'm getting set up. Okay, we're ready to resume the meeting. Apparently it's not. We're going to go ahead and resume the meeting at this time. Sorry, I'm not sure. Is my microphone working? All right, good. Sometimes my voice is pull out the announcer voice, get it going. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate your patience. Trying to make this a quick night, but this is really important stuff, and we want to make sure we hear everybody's voices. So we're going to go ahead and move into appropriation ordinance 22-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $400,000 from the ARPA fund for the Community Foundation. Speaking Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
So in a lot of my sleepless nights that I have now since being mayor, I kind of did a community assessment or analysis, and I began to think about who's doing what. So who's taking care of people with disabilities? Who's taking care of our kids? Who's taking care of people with mental health? Who's taking care of people with healthcare? Who's taking care of our seniors? Who is providing after school care? And there happened to be a common denominator. It was all non-profit entities and agencies, so agents. And I began to think, just like small businesses are a backbone, the nonprofits hold a significant part in the operations of the city of Marion. So in similarity to the ask for the small businesses, this request will be going to take the president CEO Don Brown's words through the community foundation, not to the community foundation, to support other nonprofits in the city and the work that they do. So now this will be a grant opportunity for the nonprofits, and similarly to the previous ordinance, there'll be a committee comprised of mayor's appointees, city council appointees, and community foundation appointees, and through a thorough application process that the community foundation actually wrote and has for us. And it gives us the opportunity to be able to have our nonprofits continue on the great work that they're already doing. So Donna's here tonight to speak as well, and I'd like her to come share.
Welcome, Don. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here. So I am John Brown, President CEO at the Community Foundation. I'm here representing many of my colleagues, the local nonprofits here that serve the citizens of Marion. Do you mind if I ask them to stand if they're serving a nonprofit?
Sure, go ahead.
Several colleagues with me, and I want to just show you the representation we have here in the room. So yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you all being here. They're giving up their Tuesday night because they really care about the citizens of Marion. One thing that we do at the Community Foundation, we work with a lot of very generous people. And because we work with so many generous people, we want to make sure that the donor intent is maintained. So whatever the donor wants that money to go to, that's what we pride ourselves on. So what I did, a little bit of homework about ARPA, because ARPA, this is 2021, it's been a little while. So in my spare time, I just went to the U.S. Department of Treasury website. It was a really fun place to go. Yeah, that's what I do in my spare time. But on the Treasury website, it says ARPA funds were provided by the federal government as a response to the COVID-19 pandemic to aid impacted industries. And when I read that, it really resonated with me because I clearly believe that the nonprofits that were serving the front lines in many cases and helping those that had the heightened needs, so they had the highest needs. They're serving people all the time anyway, and then during COVID had the highest needs for service during that COVID timeline. I believe that because of that, our nonprofits do represent those impacted industries locally here in Marion. Additionally, during that time where they were serving those that had the highest needs, they were actually in a situation where they had the lowest opportunity to fundraise because they couldn't have any events, they couldn't have a golf outing, couldn't have a chili supper, and a lot of times monies were going to federal organizations who were trying to fight COVID instead of people donating to local organizations. So fundraising was at an all-time low when their needs were at an all-time high. Finally, what the Treasury Department says, and I quote, the monies for ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, were to support our response to and the recovery from COVID-19's public health emergency. I really believe that the people that just stood up behind me had an excellent response to the local citizens of Marion during COVID. I cannot say enough about the work that they did with those people, that the very people that you are serving and representing, they were helping when their needs were their greatest. As far as the recovery from COVID, I think some of these nonprofits are still financially trying to recover from that because of that period of time that we were all secluded in our homes for our own safety. So I also did my homework, and I wasn't at the last meeting, but I did watch the last meeting. I wanted to answer some of the questions that I think that you might have. As far as the use of government funds, someone had said, we don't know for sure if we should use government funds for nonprofits. And I do think that's an excellent point that you make, and something that we should talk about, because I don't think that you should make a habit of funding nonprofits either. But I don't think that what we're doing tonight is making a habit of anything. We're not trying to put these nonprofits into your annual city budget. This is COVID money. This came from the federal government, and the federal government said that these should go to help the impacted industries from COVID. Because of that, it's a one-time special funding. It's handed down from the government. This is what the government wants us to do with it. The city worked with the mayor to talk about how we can distribute this equitably, and we think we can do that really well. So this isn't common. The COVID wasn't common. Hopefully it will never be common. Pandemics aren't common. This windfall of money from ARPA is not common. None of this stuff that we're talking about, it's not normal. We're not going to be doing it every day or making a habit of it. This is kind of a one-time thing that we're going to be doing. Thankfully, we don't have to do this work every day, but we are trying to help those most impacted by the COVID epidemic. There was another comment that was made at the last meeting about giving up control. And so I loved what you said, Mary. You basically made the odds be ever in your favor. So yes, that is how it will be. We are going to be creating a committee that will review all of these applications that come in. The committee will be consisting of 7 people. 4 will be from the city and from the council, and 3 will be from the community foundation. As the mayor said, the community foundation is not receiving 1 dime of this money. In fact, we're not even charging you to manage all of this process. We're doing it for free because we believe in the people that just stood up behind me. I'm here representing them as their voice tonight because we do believe in them. So we're not charging you a dime. We're not making any money off of this whatsoever. The money will come to us. We'll run the process through our software, making it as easy to apply for these nonprofits as possible. And then that money will go out immediately, be deployed to the nonprofits that serve Marion citizens. As I said, that committee will be composed of 7 people. Those people will all sign conflict of interest policies and confidentiality policies. It's getting close to my bedtime, so I'm really apologize for that. Just so that we can maintain the integrity of our process. So our process will still be maintained. We are going to be making sure that everybody that applies tells us what projects they're going to be doing, what kind of sustainability they'll have for those projects, what kind of outputs that they will perform, meaning how many people they will serve in that program, and what their outcomes ultimately will be. What difference will that money make when you invest it into these nonprofits? When I say invest, I truly mean that. I don't think that this is a gift or a transactional kind of gift that you're giving them. I think that this is going to be transformational gifts for these nonprofits that are going to be doing big, impactful work in Grant County. Additionally, with the $400,000, that would equate to either 8 nonprofits getting the $50,000 max, or up to 40 nonprofits if they got $10,000 each. And there was another question that came up that said, what if the monies aren't used in the way that we hope that they would be used? And so the Community Foundation wrangles with this all the time, because when we raise that 1.7 million or more every single year, we actually give that amount or more, sometimes up to $3 million every year back into the community. And we're always asking ourselves that too. How do we know that that will be doing exactly what we said it will be doing? And it's because we have a systemic process. We do this every single week of every single year. We give nonprofits money, and we follow a trust but verify model. We really trust our nonprofits. It's like a superhero sidekick kind of a situation where those nonprofits are the superheroes. We're just their sidekicks. They need the funding from us to do what they do, but they are front lines with the citizens of Marion, helping them get transportation for doctor's appointments, helping them figure out childcare for their kids, helping them figure out where they're going to get food, helping them figure out mental health situations. So we're just the sidekicks, they're the superheroes. But what we do, we'll trust and but verify, meaning we will give them the funding, we'll make sure that we do our due diligence, that they're all legal with the IRS, and we will always do expenditure responsibility to make sure they did what they said they were going to do with the money. That's our job. That's what we will do, and that's what we're not charging you for. We'll make sure that that happens, and we'll report those that data to you as well. And then finally, I will say that your local nonprofits, they are here for the citizens of Marion. I love what you've been talking about tonight. I love funding departments in the city. I think that that's important, but this actually is going to touch hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of actual citizens in the city of Marion with mental health, food insecurity, childcare, senior citizens. Our nonprofits take care of these people like this in a normal week all the time. During the pandemic, they took care of these people when it was really childcare was all but halted. Schools were not in session. Their kids were at home having to learn. Some people had to quit their jobs. Some people got fired from their jobs. Some businesses were shuttered. They had no option but to reach out to nonprofits when things were the hardest and they had to try to make ends meet. So with that, I will actually close and saying thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate the questions. I think questions are always good. I love trying to answer those questions, but I'm a huge advocate for the nonprofits in our community. And I think that approving this would be not only a great investment of those ARPA dollars, but it would be a really authentic way to say thank you to the nonprofits that serve those citizens during the most critical time in their lives, which was during COVID. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I really appreciate it. And I also really appreciate what you've done helping put this whole plan together along with the mayor. So I have to say it again that was a couple of years ago, you were asked to put a commission together to figure out what to do with this money. And I just want to publicly thank you because you put a lot of time, you and your committee and many others in the nonprofit world, and about every sense of the city, spent a lot of time putting a plan together. And so I really appreciate you putting all that time in. And thank you for the card, by the way.
Yeah.
And Mayor, thank you for taking her advice and proposing a lot of this stuff to the council. So thank you so much, Don. I just had to say that again.
I appreciate using that publicly. Thank you so much.
All right, any questions? Councilman Klein, go ahead and start in the corner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I've been on the record probably more than once as opposing this, but thinking about it and talking to people and asking them questions, arguing with some of them, and being assured the council will have an active and important role in making these decisions, I've had some second thoughts about my first thoughts. And if I'm making a mistake in supporting this, at least it's a mistake that ought to end up helping people who can use some help. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Calgo.
Yeah, I've worked with Dawn personally on the Fire Station No. 1 project. She is, and you guys are right, man, you talk about thorough. I mean, I could ask her one question. When she's done, I'm like, I think she answered questions I didn't even ask. I mean, it's unbelievable. They got the right person in the right position. And man, if there's anybody I have faith in to handle things, it's you, Dawn, honestly.
Thank you so much.
You know, I was kind of wondering at first too, just because of the way the dynamics was, but I'm for you.
Thank you. I have a great board and a great team. It's not just me, but thank you so much.
Councilman Kane.
Ms. Brown.
Yes.
I was one of those people that mentioned government funds maybe shouldn't be used to fund nonprofits. And like yourself, I found myself visiting the website that you visited. Mm-hmm. How exciting was that?
I know.
And so I was trying to reconcile in my mind how do I do this? How do I convince myself that this is a great idea? And I did that. I was able to reconcile that in my own mind. The fact that these funds aren't mine. They were given to us as a gift from the federal government. Yes, it was our taxpayers' dollars, but we're a conduit to give back to the community. And these funds, I believe, will be used for the least of this community. And so I am in full support in moving forward with this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Councilman Marshall.
Full disclosure, I want to let everyone know that I'm on the board of the Community Foundation. Have been on there a couple terms now, and I'm in full support of us taking this money and entrusting Dawn and her organization with it. My association with the foundation has been nothing but good, and I may have left out that I am a donor as well. So I've written checks to the Community Foundation with the confidence that they have the skills and expertise to invest and use my money and help this community. So I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? A quick question. You said 7 committee members. I was trying to break down. What's the breakdown of that again? On
3 from the Community Foundation, and then the mayor and you as the council will choose the other 4. That won't be our choice. That'll be up to you guys.
Just for clarity on the public sector part of this, Mayor, how do you envision if this were to pass that those 4 seats are chosen?
3.5 by me and 1.5 by the county. No, 2.
All right, we're going to table this. No, I'm just kidding.
It's 2.
Yeah.
Well, it's 2 each. 2 for the council and 2 for administration.
Okay. Thank you for that. Confidentiality agreement, I have a question on. If this were to pass, this is taxpayer money. I want people to know where it went. That confidentiality agreement, can you explain what all that would entail?
Yeah, you can certainly, if this passes, when you're voting on things, you can certainly tell your constituents where that money is going, what it's going to do. What happens when nonprofits apply for funding, they submit financials, they submit budget sheets, balance sheets, things that could be considered confidential. And so we don't want those things being shared with the general public, just because it's part of the integrity of the foundation, and that's how we operate. But certainly once things are approved, you can tell people what was approved, how much was spent, how much you allocated toward that grant, what that grant's going for, anything that you're doing with that money once it's been awarded, you can tell everybody. It's just more of the confidential things that you would use in your decision making that the general public doesn't really need to see.
Great, thank you so much. And you said the range is anywhere from 10 to 50,000, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, those are all the questions that I have. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move into the public hearing. Thank you so much, Dawn. Moving into the public hearing portion, if you would like to speak, make your way to the podium, state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello again, Bill Heller, 643 Candlewood. Originally, I came tonight to pose questions about due diligence. And I think Dawn Brown has been hacking my brain. Because she answered everything that I would have asked. And that's a very confusing activity for her to do, let me tell you. So I want to say that I'm fully in support of this. I spent almost 25 years of my professional life in fundraising with Indiana University and the Indiana University Foundation. And this is an outstanding community foundation that you have here in Marion. It's well run, and it reports out its activities very well. So I'm fully in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. If you could state your name, address, and your 3 minutes.
Yes, my name's Liz Fry, and I'm the executive director at the local Marion Grant County Senior Center. We're located at 503 South Gallatin. I personally live in Ridley Towers, so I'm downtown, and I love what's happening downtown. And everybody's talking about the nonprofits, but all of the nonprofits are what improves the quality of life here in Grant County. So all of the different functions that we do, either at the senior center or whatever the nonprofit is, cancer services, whatever, we're helping all the citizens have a better quality of life because we exist. So we wholeheartedly support the opportunity to apply for a grant through the Community Foundation with these funds that you may be allocating. And I hope you do that little, where you pass it on tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
The fact that she was once the director of the foundation, community foundation, you didn't mention that. I think you should have thrown that in there.
Thank you. All right. Okay, moving on. Okay.
Say what I told a couple of you in person, that Earl Gottschalk will come back and haunt you. If you don't pass it. The person that started the senior center in the first place. There you go.
Great, thank you.
Earl doesn't scare me as much as Dawn does.
Appreciate it. All right, thank you. State your name, address. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Christina Chandler, 210 Elm Street in Sweetser. I just wanted to take a moment. I'm actually the coordinator for the Family Resource Center here in Grant County through through Firefly Children and Family Alliance. And the whole statement of it takes a village for prevention efforts for child abuse and neglect, it absolutely does. We are a testament to that. Last Tuesday, we are only open part-time hours, and in the span of a little over 2 hours, we had 43 people come in our door. And what they do is when they come in, they're in need of something, whether it's food, safety items, resources, parenting classes, anything, just basic supports. And every single person and every single agency that stood up when Dawn was talking, those are the people that we connect the community to. So it is really vital, and that is the community, that is the village that helps raise the children in our community. So I'm completely all in support for this, so thank you.
Thank you. I think we're just going to say one last time, so I want to repeat name, address, and you have 3 minutes so everyone knows the rest of the time.
Again, my name is Ray Daniels, 5142 South Gill Street. This time I am talking as the nonprofit Salvation Army. First, a thank you to the foundation, because just a little story. My son, when he was in 6th grade, wrote a grant through the foundation for some good tires through the Salvation Army to be used to teach people guitar, and was awarded that. And because of that, he decided to actually go into music, and he is now the choir director at Snyder High School. So just thank you for that, because that put it in his mind, because my wife wanted him to be a biology teacher like her, but there you go. So just simple things like that. If we hadn't had those good tires, then there would have been kids that missed opportunities to do that. And I am new to the position. I'm not new to Marion. I'm married to a lady here from Marion. We've been here for a long time, but I am new at the administrator of the Salvation Army, because a lot of times our officers move, and our lieutenant just moved. And so I'm from the community, and I have been in the community for over 20 some years. So my job is not to recreate the wheel, but my hand is to extend the rest of the nonprofits that we want to work together. We don't want to create something that's already there. And we don't want to do what somebody else is doing, but we want to collaborate with everyone that's a nonprofit to find something in our community that we can all share in together. And I think the foundation, being the overhead of in overseeing all that funding, that would make a great impact, because I see a loss, because we did a lot with the Civic Theater, and CASA has taken it over, which I'm grateful to them. But there are still a lot of opportunities that aren't afforded to those with less money. I would love to see, a group where adults and kids, because there's a lot of history that is lost in our community. The senior center I was thinking about a women's quilting class, you know, and teaching kids, adults teaching kids. We have a gentleman that passed away that learned how to play the harmonica. Well, how many people know how to play the harmonica? So just somehow to gap those generations. That is what I would see that this grant would go for, in just working with the other organizations. Like I said, not to reinvent the wheel, but to progress further and use these funds. So I would appreciate you thinking clearly and honestly, and appreciate your vote to pass this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, well, I'm Angie Poole. I'm Cardinal Greenway CEO. I actually live in Losantville, so I'm Randolph County, but I'll use our Water Street Depot as my address for Marion. So I was going to toot Dawn's horn, but I don't think I have to. Everyone has seen what a great person she is. And for the nonprofits in Grant County and Marion, we have such a great leader in Dawn and her team at the Community Foundation that I think any fears that might have been from the first reading until now, I think have been put aside. It's just a great opportunity for not only Cardinal Greenway. We're so unique in the fact that I provided a trail system for those during the pandemic. We were never shut down. Our trails opened dawn to dusk. So, you know, we're unusual, but we work so hand in hand with the other nonprofits in town just because I think we all become a family. If, you know, I'm sure they would agree with me because we do serve such a great need for all of the citizens. So my 5 or so miles here in Marion are some of the oldest in the Cardinal Greenway's 31-year history. So we would love the opportunity to have a little bit more funding for operations. I know how boring is it to repave asphalt, but that's where I'm at, right? So I just want to thank you all for your consideration. I think a lot of the questions have been answered with Dawn's great work, and she's such a great spokesperson for the nonprofits. You know, with her and Megan, it's just great. And I've had 5 community foundations that I work with, and Dawn's my favorite. Milk and cookies. Have you guys had the chance to have milk and cookies with Dawn and her team? Is that not the best, right? So, but thank you so much for all your time tonight. I appreciate it. I know you guys had a long meeting, but we all appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and we have 7 more after this one.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Kevin Plank, 804 Briarwood Lane. As a board member of the Marion Arts Commission and Carrie Services, we're just here to support the mayor in this ordinance. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Hi there, Nick Miller. I actually live in Wells County, but I'm here this evening representing Youth for Christ, who has been a presence here in Marion for over 70 years. I wanted to speak to the alternative a little bit here, just because I had a little insight after I found out about this. I reached out to our grant writer that we contract with, and she is an Anderson resident. This exact same situation came up a few months back with Anderson, actually about a year ago now. She ended up serving on the board that chose to not use their community foundation and tried to handle it themselves in-house with a committee, much like you guys are proposing, but without the community foundation side of it. They ended up spending over $20,000 before the first application was ever received, in legal fees, in processing, in salaries, and everything that it took to get that together. And she served on that board and actually used the phrase, "We wasted $20,000 by not choosing to use the foundation." And they ended up creating the exact same situation that the foundation already had in place. So just the alternative of it, of not using this money through the foundation and trying to handle it in-house or another way, will end up most likely resulting in a loss of funds to the nonprofits like myself and so many others gathered here, and will end up with, most likely in our case here in Marion, a lesser program than what Dawn the Community Foundation brings to the table. So again, speaking highly of her and the foundation doesn't need to be said. I just wanted to speak a little bit to the alternative and thank you all for the work that you are doing.
Thank you, Nick.
Ruth Ann Sumter, 809 McAllen Drive, Marion. I just want to point out that there are a lot of different kinds of not-for-profit, nonprofit organizations. I named DAR and Garden Club and the Historical Society, when I spoke before, there's also things like Tri Kappa and all these other not-for-profit organizations that it just scares me to think what life would be like in Marion if there were not all these not-for-profit organizations. The library has the Friends of the Library. If you're not a member, you should join. We, as the Friends of the Library, we are able to do things for the library that government won't let them do. Buying things that will really make their job easier. And I just support not-for-profits. Maybe not financially, but my heart is with them. And I've often said that people who come to Marion and judge it by what they see are making a big mistake. And Mayor Morrell is going to eliminate a lot of the blight. My thoughts are what you see are not what you get with Marion. Marion has a lot of people with big hearts who love the community and work for the community. And of course, this money should be given to non-for-profits because they do so much that government can't or won't do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I don't see anyone else making their way forward. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion that we do that little thing called suspend the rules. And for appropriation ordinance 20, where we at, 22, 20, 24.
Second. Motion to suspend the rules by Vice President Calgill, second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane?
Aye.
Marshall?
Aye.
Fordyce?
No.
Brunner?
Aye.
Klein?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Witten?
Yes.
Cowgill?
Aye.
McKinley?
Yes. Rules have been suspended, and I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we pass general ordinance or appropriation ordinance 22, 2024.
Second. Motion by Vice President Calgill, a second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? I do have another thing that came to mind in the discussion part of this. I just, maybe Dawn can answer this as well, because this has come up on another appropriation about the separation of church and state. And I appreciate the comment about the different nonprofits. I just, while I was sitting here, searched the IRS website for the different types of nonprofits. Just to make sure I'm clear, there are a lot of type of nonprofits. There are charitable churches and religious organizations, private and political organizations. So nonprofit's a pretty broad term. I'm gonna say we're probably not, none of this is gonna go to a political organization, even though it's a nonprofit. And also the church or religious organizations, I think we should still stick with this is federal money given by the federal government, and just being cautious in what it's being spent on in that separation of church and state. Dawn, can you elaborate the types of nonprofits again? I'm sorry.
So specifically 501c3 nonprofits, those are the kinds of nonprofits that can accept charitable gifts. And those are the kind of nonprofits that do community benefit work. And so we would not be funding anything that is of a political nature. We would not be funding anything that is of a religious nature as well. Of course, you guys are going to have 4 people on the committee, so you can make sure that you're not funding any of those things. So you guys, the odds are in your favor. I would say that we would consider if a church submitted an application to open a food pantry, we would potentially consider that because there's no religious intent for that, and it might be providing food in a food desert. But if that would be something that you didn't think that government money should be spent on, then you guys have the majority, so.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to just have that on the record,
Sure.
just clarify it for anybody that might be
Yeah.
questioning that.
Yeah, happy to.
Great, thank you. Anybody else for discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill, McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 22-2024 has passed. Thank you everyone for hanging out this long with us. Welcome to come back to every single meeting. Happy to do it. I'm honored to be here. All right, moving on to appropriation ordinance 23-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $1 million from the ARPA fund for redevelopment commission.
Mr. President, can I do a point of order?
Please,
Yes,
thank
go ahead.
you. I know folks are, and it's getting late, if people end up going to bed before the meeting's over, can they catch this on YouTube tomorrow?
Yes.
How? Someone texted me that question.
It will be posted the city website. If you go to the Common Council portion of the city website, Layla, probably by tomorrow afternoon, or I don't know, it's a holiday this week. But the city website, you can always go get the link to the latest, actually to any meeting we have.
It'll have the YouTube.
You just say watch video and it'll take you right to the YouTube page.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt, but thank you.
All right, where were we? Did you already read that? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So these funds specifically are going toward site work in on our river, right on our riverfront, right behind McClure. I could project it on the thing if you want me to again, like we did last council meeting, but this is specific towards site readiness for a project on our right on the riverfront. And if you want me to, I can project all of the information we did from the last one, but that is what this will be going towards. And also, I'll read exactly what it is. So it's environmental, relocation of utilities, road work, and environmental structural work. And that's all I have. And I'll put it up there while we're.
Great, thank you. Do you have anyone else, or are we ready to go?
No,
to
this
public?
is me.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to go to public hearing, or do you want to talk about what you're putting on the screen?
I was going to be open for questions if anybody had.
Oh, okay. I'll just wait then. Okay, go ahead.
This is the project. From a visual aspect, just to give you some direction of the river, like where that flagpole is, the YMCA is on the other side of there. That's the river. This is oh, there you go. That gives you a better view of it. And some of the questions we had last time is when this money goes to the RDC, we will then our team will be able to oversee the site preparedness, and my grant will be a part of that process. And then if I that's the cost of the site prep we'll be doing, along with some environmental expenses that we would incur on the space as well.
Was that it? Okay, just make sure and everything else. Okay. Any council members have questions? All right, we're gonna go ahead and move into the public hearing portion. So if you would like to speak on this, make your way to the podium. All right, I'm not seeing anyone make their way to the podium. I'm going to close the public hearing then, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance number 23, 2024.
Second. Motion to suspend the rules by Councilman Kane, a second by Vice President Calgill. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
No.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Rules have been suspended. I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I move that we move or pass appropriation ordinance number 23, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, a second by Councilman Brunner. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 23-2024 has passed. And moving on to appropriation ordinance 24-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $1 million from the ARPA fund for blight elimination. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
Okay, now I love all of these again, but this is my favorite one. My whole entire administration and campaign is built on this, right? So we're being, very aggressive to try to go in and eliminate blight throughout the city. And one thing that I'll let Commissioner Foster and I speak to, I believe he's still here, is that he created an additional line item in this that was very creative and I think is very noble to be able to improve our community, is the assistance program for the elderly. So we have elderly and disabled, I think is what it's morphed into. So we have people who cannot keep up with their grass, cannot clean up their yards, etc. And there's money in this request to be able to tend to that. I'll let Commissioner Foster come and speak for the rest of everything else.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Council. This $1 million that we're asking for the appropriation for was, as I explained in the last meeting, a little around 700,000 would go towards elimination of structures within the city where we'd be able to not only use our own equipment, our own employees, but we'd be able to hire local contractors to help us eliminate some of the structures that need eliminated. Also, there was around $100,000 that we would like to use, as the mayor was saying, to help individuals, older citizens that have difficulty in, excuse me, in maybe their house needs painted or some siding needs repaired, different things like that. So we'd like to have that money available to assist those individuals. And then we had the roughly 190,000, I believe it was, that we were requesting that we would use for additional things that might break, like excavators are very, very expensive. Every time we have a service, every 500 hours, we spend roughly somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 on equipment, making sure that it's taken care of. So it's very expensive. So that's some of what we would use that money for. And as you may or may not know, it's very, very expensive doing demos. I'll give you a couple examples. We tore down the fire station down number 1. We did that in-house. That's going to cost us roughly $50,000 for us doing it ourselves. We had a structure done on North Washington Street. It was $54,000. The church out in South Marion on 29th Street cost us $104,000. So it's very expensive. Where we can go in and do smaller projects or smaller structures, we can do it very quickly and we can do it cheaper. But the bigger ones takes more money, more time, and more effort.
Hey, Jerry, could you, I'm right here. Right here.
Oh, I thought.
Could you step back from like just a hair? It's getting a lot of feedback. Not that far, just a couple inches. Yeah.
I'll go home.
Yeah,
I'm ready. That's past my.
Just the
it's
feedback.
past my
The volume's loud in here.
I was just going to tell the mayor I'll be late tomorrow. So anyway, we've been working very closely with the mayor. He's, I keep telling him he's pushing us pretty hard, and we want to continue to move forward as quickly as we can.
Great, thank you. Anyone have questions? Go ahead.
Jerry, on the like the helping the elderly or whatever, like let's say it's a mow in the yard. So how do you go about that? Do you hire somebody locally? Do you, I mean, how did you use the money, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, right now what we do is when we go out and there's a violation, if it's above 9 inches, we charge them to go in and mow. It's $245. You know, if we can have some of this money available, that we go to an older person and we do their yard, we can absorb that $245. And so it's expensive. We as you go through the neighborhoods, we consider blight not only buildings that need to be removed, but the conditions of the buildings. And when we look at a house that we could have paint it, we're hoping that if we start that program, Brian, that other neighbors close to them will start taking care of their properties. We see it on a daily basis where someone starts to let their property deteriorate, and next thing you know, the neighbor next door says, he's not taking care of his, so why do I need to take care of mine? So not only do we have to move forward on this, but we have to educate people. And hopefully by doing this program, we can educate more people and maybe make the city look a little more beautiful.
Any other questions?
You did a great job on fire station number 1, by the way. It went pretty quick. Thank God you got the guy out there that first started it, because he would have taken forever. So
yeah, it's a long process, Brian. You know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
We'd probably still be down there.
All right. No other questions. We'll move this to the public hearing portion. Thank you, Jerry. All right, public hearing is open. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Charles Moon, 703 East Swayze Street, and I'm 100% for this. What I wish would happen is some neighbors of these properties would get it in their mind to go ahead and mow this and clean these up. Jerry got Powell's old garage tore down, and I am now mowing that. I have mowed a lot of several city lots and other lots, and people who let their properties go down, I went over and cleaned it up. If they want to shoot me, they can shoot me. But we need to live as neighbors, people helping neighbors. And if we could get that, I mean, some people wouldn't even go out and do anything. I clean out the gutters, I clean out the different things. And that's something that we need to promote in the city, hey, if somebody needs help, help them. That's what I've done all my life. My family would do it, and I appreciate the fact I'm an obsessive compulsive personality. I go down the street and I mow lawns in my mind. I clean houses. I do a lot of things in my mind. If everything could get done in reality as it does in my mind, we would have a real nice community here. Have it fixed up real just beautifully, even trim the curbs and everything. So I don't think I have any problem with this should be passed. If it don't, you're gonna hear from me.
Great, thank you.
My checkbook don't work in the same as it does in my mind either, so.
Bill Heller again. Jerry, I'm curious, is there any money of this allocated to get rid of our downtown eyesore, the YMCA?
So I'll remind, excuse me, so this is public hearing, so that it's for
Okay,
us.
all right,
You
but
speak to us, yes. Yep.
So is there any money anticipated to be used in this, of this million for the demolition of the YMCA downtown? And is there any thought given to maybe tapping into Habitat for Humanity for some of this activity with renovating properties? I mean, they've got a lot of people who volunteer with them who are very knowledgeable about this. They build entire houses. So I would think there would be some way to utilize some of that talent pool there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Wilk, 1016 West Fifth Street. I don't think there's any way to spend the money better than this. So please do it.
Thank you.
Me again, Karen Creech. I'm all for removing the blight. I mentioned to the mayor that there's blight all over, not just around the square. So I'm glad to hear this going. The only question I have, the only concern I have, and I have no problem with any of it, even helping those who are unable to help themselves with lawn mowing and things like that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just concerned that you'll be taken advantage of. I mean, there are some people that will milk the system, even if you have an open heart, and take advantage. And there are some that can pay and just are stingy. And so I don't want you to open up a can of worms that you might get overwhelmed with. So hopefully there'll be enough guidelines that you'll be able to, there'll always be some that will fall through, but I'm all for, my mother's very elderly. We go over and take care of things, but she can at least hire someone to mow her yard. So I just want you to be, not open up something that you're gonna have to stop later because people take advantage of it. So I'm all for it, but hope you have a lot of guidelines put in place before you start it, that you can actually help those that are really in need of help and not those that are just too lazy to do it. So I hope you have a lot of guidelines so the city doesn't get taken advantage of and end up losing money on it in the long run, because if they can pay, they should have to pay, or pay something. They should have some skin in it. So it just to say, well, the city's going to take care of it. So I just want you to put in a lot of guidelines in that part. And as far as taking down the blight, I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bill Creech, 1409 Ironwood, Marion. I'd just like to say I'm 100% for this, and I'd also like to compliment everybody on the Marion cleanup mayor. I thought that was a great citywide cleanup job, and anybody that was involved with that. I think those truly should be shouted out as community heroes. I did have one question. I know we really can't ask questions, but just when you do go in and you take down a blight area, who owns that? Does the person still own it? Does the city repossess it? Who becomes owner of that property at that point, and how's it maintained? after the fact and whose responsibility is that? And could we do something with those? I've been in areas before where they've taken down blight in other cities and they turn them into community gardens. They turn them into all kinds of different things that really help the city. And I didn't know, I know there's probably a variety of different situations, but is there some way that, hey, if we come in and we're going to take this down and we're going to pay for it, you're going to lose the property. And those things, I think, need to have some repercussions. And I think that way we can actually move forward and do something, and the city can recoup some of the money and do something useful with those properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, we'll close the public hearing. And I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance number 24, 2024.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules by Councilman Kane, second by Vice President Calgill. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce.
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Rules have been suspended, and I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass appropriation ordinance number 24, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Brunner. Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 24-2024 has passed. Thank you. Moving on to appropriation ordinance 25-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $200,000 from the ARPA fund for the street department. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
This is for our trash truck, and I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go over to the street department and see what we have, and it's hanging on by a thread, and we want to make sure that, first of all, we want to make sure the image that we're putting out for the equipment that we own is nice, and second of all, we want to make sure, and arguably most important, we want to make sure it's functional. And right now, we're putting our workers in danger because it's rusted out. And it's hindering us from doing the job to the best of our ability. And I'll have our citywide maintenance superintendent here, and I'll have him come and share more about this.
Welcome.
Good evening, late evening. The truck that we have now is over 20 years old. The frame has already been welded, which shouldn't be on the road with a welded frame. When you turn the corner, the actual yardage tilts with the truck. It leaks. So as we're driving down the road from park to park around the city, trash does fall out, so we got to stop and pick that back up. Liquid runs out. There's more holes than there is non-holes. Every morning we have to get the raccoons out of it before we can even operate it. Which I don't know if you've ever cornered a raccoon, but that's not you don't win that fight.
Great, thank you. Anybody have questions? All right, thank you. We're going to move it into the public hearing portion. If you would like to speak, make your way to the microphone. Okay, seeing no one make it to the microphone, we're going to close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance 25-2024.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules by Vice President Cowgill, a second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Rules have been suspended, and I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we pass appropriation ordinance 2024.
That would be 25.
25.
It's getting time. I'm trying to hurry
Hey,
it.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one tonight.
Mike's got to say.
All right, so we've got a motion to pass appropriation ordinance 25-2024 by Vice President Cowgill, seconded by Councilman Klein. Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 25-2024 has passed. Moving on to appropriation ordinance 26-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $200,000 from the ARPA fund for the engineering department. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
This is regarding the bricks downtown. Originally, this was just something I didn't like. I hated how it looked. And then second, I realized how much money we're investing every single year in maintenance to upkeep these bricks, and it's ranging between $12,000 to $15,000 a year to replace these bricks. And now we're at a situation where they don't make the same bricks anymore. So now we have mismatched bricks. So it makes it even look even worse, and it just put it in rough situations. So additionally, this is really supposed to be the state's road, but we signed an agreement with them 20 years ago. I was using that, right? 20 years ago to take it over to use those bricks. So now we've been having to pay maintenance on something we shouldn't be paying maintenance on. And ideally, once we get the road back up to the state's standards, then they will be a willing partner to be able to take ownership back of their road. So this money is going towards the removal of those bricks and paving the road back to the standard of what the state requires. And I have our city engineer, still haven't got a name for him yet, so Super Mike, maybe call him Super Mike tonight to share any more information about this.
Good evening. There was a couple of questions brought up at first reading, so I sent out some requests to NDOT, and I did get a reply back today that if we do switch this back, they will terminate the joint use maintenance. So they'll take it over from us once we turn it back into asphalt, which was a question I think that the president asked for. And then since it had been done well over 20 years ago under Mayor Henry's administration, I wasn't sure of the base structure. So we did some coring, we removed some bricks and did some cores, and found that the base is actually about 8 inches of asphalt, which is good, which it reduced the cost that I had originally anticipated. We were closer to probably $300,000 of the $200,000 ask. So this is probably going to reduce it about $80,000. So we'll be roughly in the 230. Actually, $20,000 of the ask is just for maintenance of traffic while the work is being done, and the barricades and traffic control that has to be done, which all that has to be approved by the state. So I will be applying for the permit to make sure that I have that before I actually send it out to bid, so that I make sure that the state's happy with our phasing that we're going to do it in. So be glad to entertain any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Mike. We're going to move this into the public hearing portion. Public hearing is open. If you would like to speak, make your way to the podium. Not seeing anyone make their way to the podium, we'll go and close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance number 26, 2024.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Witten. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Rules have been suspended. I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I move that we move or pass appropriation ordinance number 26, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Witten. Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation Ordinance 26, 2024 is passed. Moving on to Appropriation Ordinance 27-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $150,000 from the ARPA fund for the Parks Department. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
So when I start thinking about quality of life and what the city of Marion has to offer, people's top one or two things always comes up with our parks. So we have 13 parks in our system, and our team does a great job of taking care of them with the resources they've been allocated. But as we've learned in previous meetings, there hasn't been many funds allocated towards them to be able to keep up with the with maintenance even, and also doing improvements. So what I want to do is be really intentional about investing in our parks, and this is one of the first C's that we can do to do some maintenance and improving. And then tonight I have with us Rose, who is the director of our parks. Oh yeah, director of our parks, and she can speak to what the specific asks are of any additional questions.
Good evening. We have 5 requests. We broke them down. The first one is a fence around the maintenance shop there at Matter Park. It has become a safety issue. We have our girl staff who come in there who housed at that facility. So when they come in, it's still dark in our park. And because of damage and just years, it's been in the ground and rusted and it's just unrepairable. So my main concern is their safety first and foremost. And then the other is things getting stolen out of there. I mean, we house the Walkway of Lights things there. We just paid $20,000 worth of flowers, things like that. They just disappear, and we have no way of securing that area. So, that's the $32,000 of the $150 that we're asking for. We're also asking for $50,000 to put a stage roof permanent structure over the stage at the garden house. We do have that currently as a lot of rentals. One of them being a lot of weddings. We would like to possibly bring back our Concerts in the Park series. But in order to do that, because there are no trees in that area, we really need to put a structure over it, which will increase the things that we can do there. To me, it really is kind of an eyesore and looks unfinished as it is. We did put some structures on it before, and those structures, because they are put on the top, get destroyed in storms. So we've kind of wasted a lot of money. This way we are going to put a permanent structure that goes from the ground up. The third thing is the garden house mold remediation. We did have a mold issue in the crawl space there. It's the second time it's happened. This time we had to take it a step further to make sure that doesn't happen. And it wasn't anything to do with the first remediation not being successful. We sprung a leak underneath there. We did not realize it had sprung a leak, and after time, moisture and things underneath there just, mold just grows rampant. And that's $22,000. That has already been rectified. We had to move forward with that. And I know that, the question was, what if we don't get these funds? How are we going to pay for it? I mean, we have to squeeze it out of our budget one way or another, or come to the council at a later time asking for appropriations. We are renting this facility clear into 2026 right now. And unless we want to hand back a lot of refunds, we had no choice but to move forward. Splash House, $30,000 we want to allocate to them. They have sand filters, and I know that sounds like a lot for sand, but they should have been changed every 10 years. We opened that in 2007 and it's never been changed. So we are forking out a lot of money for extra chemicals and things like that, by changing the sand would lower all those costs, let alone is it necessary for the park to continue to run. Fifth and lastly, it's for the Matter Park Pond project. We need about $20,000 to finish that project. I spoke on it before about the streams coming in and out to keep things from the pond. We've had to dig it out and things like that. And to finish that, to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore. And then some treatments that the pond would need from us digging it out and removing everything. So at this point, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Great, thank you so much for sticking around to the end, and you can blame the mayor putting you at the end here. No, I'm just kidding. It's not.
Mayor's going to be helping us pick up trash tomorrow at 11 o'clock tonight. I'm
The
sure
comp time's coming, I know. Thank you.
He's
Any
thrown
other
out.
questions? Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We're going to move it to the public hearing. So if anyone would like to speak on this, make your way to the podium. All right, I'm not seeing anyone make it to the podium. I'm going to close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance number 27, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Kane, and I'm going to go with the second from Councilwoman Devine. I'll give you one tonight. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
No.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, rules have been suspended, and I will entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass appropriation ordinance number 27, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion to pass by Councilman Kane, a second by Councilwoman Devine. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, appropriation ordinance 27-2024 has passed. Moving on to appropriation ordinance 28-2024, second reading and public hearing.
Really quick, that concludes our ARPA plan. Thanks everyone.
Oh.
One thing that I will mention is that the account that the money is sitting in continues to accrue interest every month. So until all the money is spent, we'll have more money. That means we'll have to come back and do an appropriation. We'll have to come back and do an appropriation for the interest accrued from the ARPA sitting. If that makes sense. So we'll have to come back at the end of the year once all the money has set and then do another. I think the last time I checked, I don't want to misquote the numbers, but it was somewhere between $12,000 to $18,000 a month that this was collecting the interest. So we'll have to do another appropriation for that.
Oh, that's a good problem to have. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, go ahead.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $21,500 from the general fund to Make My Move. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
This is a program that worked to get a few people to move into the city of Marion. Now we're in a situation where I was faced early on in the year, I think in February, they came and met with me, and I decided to not continue the program because we were, our phone was in the negative, and I didn't see a clear pathway for us how to continue to fund it. And then now coming back, we realize that we still owe the company and some people how their business model is set up. That you have to pay people $5,000 to move to the city of Marion. I think it's $2,500 in their first relocation. Then the latter half is owed after they've been here for a certain amount of time. So now we're paying the latter half and the rest of it to close the contract out.
All right, thank you. All right, any questions? All right, we'll go ahead and move it to the public hearing portion. So if you'd like to speak, make your way to the podium. I'm not seeing anyone advance to the podium, so we'll close the public hearing. And I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules on appropriation ordinance number 28, 2024.
Second.
Motion to suspend by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Witten. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
No.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, rules have been suspended, and I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass appropriation ordinance number 28, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Witten. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 28, 2024 has passed. That's it for unfinished business. And moving on to new business, we have appropriation ordinance 29-2024, first reading.
An ordinance appropriating the amount of $111,000, $111,677.36 from the general fund to maintenance agreements. Speaking, Dave Gilbert, Police Chief.
Mr. President, members of the council, thanks for hearing me tonight. I've got a brief 1-hour presentation.
This might be your last request.
Turn the mic off, cut the hook. Point of order, I spoke to the good counselor. Actually, Deputy Chief Stephanopoulos was instrumental in negotiating a better deal. So the number needs to be revised that you gave there to $108,874.56.
You say it one more time.
$108,000, $874.56. 108,874.56. This I'm going to be as brief as possible. This is the previous administration entered into a 5-year agreement to equip the department and the officers with body cams, which is pretty standard equipment these days. The agreement runs out in August. I believed at a point in time that was going to get us through the end of the year. In summary, that is not the case. The agreement runs out in August. There's no funding that is in the budget that I can find that would fund either the gap between August and the end of the year or a new agreement. So I'm here tonight to request funding to basically enter into a new agreement for 5 years to obtain new body cams, update all the equipment, to stay in business with recording, storing, and retrieving data that we would need to, and then carry on we would hopefully budget the money for the subsequent years to maintain the contract with the numbers that you see in the presentation that I gave you. Hopefully you all received that. I sent it digitally and sent the hard copies as well. So tonight we just need, if you would please, to pass this first reading for the amount of money I mentioned so that we can begin a new agreement for body cam services.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone have questions?
Chief, when you have active policemen on the streets, do they all carry one of those?
All patrol officers.
Yeah.
All officers are issued because all officers are subject to call in to work patrol duties, but all patrol officers will wear one. Max, if you could, can you say that? It's right in the center of his chest. So the box right there. Every patrol officer wears those at all times they're on duty. I would add, what we're going to do is add a feature. Chief Stephanopoulos is instrumental in this. We're going to add a feature so that every time a gun is drawn, it's going to activate the camera with the officer. If the officer's not able to do that, there was a national event recently that happened. I can't recall which one it was, but the officer had to draw his gun before he was able to activate the camera. And with this technology, that will happen automatically. If an officer ambushed or had something unexpected happen, they had to draw their gun.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
Chief, will this be 5 years from like January, this year, 5 years, or?
No, it won't. It'll be a mid-year thing, but I told my two deputy chiefs, we will not leave that way. What we're going to do is make sure that we make a promise to ourselves that whoever we leave this responsibility to, we're gonna make sure they understand the ramifications, and that they have a responsibility to do that. We'll make sure they're briefed on that before we leave, whenever that time comes.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That's one thing, make sure that you take that from hopefully it'll be in the budget next year to it will be in the budget.
Well, we'll talk in a few weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my plan.
I think that.
You turn your mic on, Gary.
I'm sorry. The 108,874 won't be in the budget. It will just be the amount to monitor the iCloud footage, right?
Yeah, it's a much smaller amount. It's in the portfolio.
Yeah.
It's a much smaller amount for the remaining 4 years.
69,000 and some change.
Thank you. That's right.
And if I read correctly, it involved we get new cameras halfway through.
Halfway through, we'll get new cameras for any technology advancements, and that'll keep us from the cameras breaking down. And two, service for the cameras will be included in the deal, which is a nice feature. If we had run out, that wouldn't have been the case. Or if we'd gone with a cheaper option to keep the cameras we have, that would not have been the case. So this really is the best deal, I think.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I did want to comment on that because I'm glad you stuck with Motorola. Because I think that in retrospect, we made a kind of a mistake with the other radios that we replaced.
I agree.
Instead of going with Motorola, I'd have rather spent the extra money for Motorola. So I'm glad you stuck with Motorola.
Under my previous time, we went to another company for radios. It was the biggest mistake I made as chief, and I don't intend to do that again. Motorola's blue chip. You pay a premium, but you get a premium service. So I agree.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you.
And I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to pass appropriation ordinance 29-2024 to second reading, public hearing.
Motion by Councilman Fordyce, second by Councilman Klein. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance 29-2024 is passed first reading. We'll move to the next meeting for second reading, public hearing. Thank you, Chief, again, for sticking out to the end.
Yeah,
And-
Chief, one other thing, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt. Could you tell all the rest of the department heads to do these and deliver them to us?
No. The next
I mean,
depart-
really,
the next
really.
department
It's a
meeting is
pretty
gonna be
nice
rough.
presentation. Mike, do you see these?
I wish you hadn't said that.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, last item. Maybe I could have done this at another meeting, but this will be really quick. I promise you. Yeah. But I'm not going to be at the next meeting, and I want to make sure this information was out. Let me get the screen up here. That's might take a minute to get the screen going. And basically, I just wanted to give the council and the general public that's here or might watch it online just a quick snapshot of where we are financially, because I have had people say, man, you guys sure are spending a lot of money, or where's all this money coming from? And I just want to put the public at ease in our financial situation, and the rest of the council, I guess, as well. I did meet, thank you, Mayor, for letting me meet with the controller's office to get some information, send a lot of emails back and forth. And again, I'm gonna try to keep this as brief. So just the unallocated funds, we currently, as of June 20th, actually, so this can always, well, I guess it wouldn't change. If we already appropriate something, it wouldn't be in here. But anyways, as of June 20th, The general fund cash reserve was at $6,583,398. That's unappropriated, unallocated. It's just sitting there, which is good. That doesn't mean we need to spend $6.5 million. We do need to have cash reserves. The YMCA lawsuit settlement, there's still $3 million in there. It is collecting interest. I did want to provide some clarity on that. And I appreciate the controller's office giving me this information because I was curious, how much did we spend on that lawsuit? And for sure, we can point to almost $2.5 million that was paid to Ice Miller for this lawsuit. Those are direct payments for this particular lawsuit, but I'm an understanding that there were other experts that were hired by the city and other legal expenses with Ice Miller for other things that might have also been absorbed in on other bills. Long story short, it was probably over the 2.5 million that was spent on the lawsuit. That was, I believe, taken all out of the edit fund. Hence why we have $1 limit now. Part of the reason. So yes, there's $3 million there, but really, how much is it? How much? It's not a net $3 million that the city now just received. It is probably almost a wash that was spent. I'm not here to say we should or shouldn't have done it. I'm just giving you the numbers. That it was probably nearly a wash on what we spent versus what we got back. Fortunately, it went in the city's favor, and we got the money back, and we weren't totally out on that $3 million or whatever was spent. Also, edit fund balance. This is if we don't spend anything else out of the edit fund by the end of the year, we'll have 1.175 million. So it's not the current balance, but it is going to accrue to the end of the year. And then the edit fund 2024 supplement. So the city did receive $866,079 in an edit fund supplement. Just want some clarity. This wasn't a mistake that was made. What was explained to me was that the edit fund is an estimate based on taxes received. And so the money we're receiving on a monthly basis into the edit fund is based on those estimates. But if more tax dollars were brought in, then the county will distribute it accordingly based on percentages to all the entities. So Marion got $866,079 on overages that were received into that edit fund, and then all the other municipalities and cities within Grant County also received some as well based on their percentage that they get out of that. So that is the snapshot of just the finance 101 for the city. I wanted people to know where we're at. So I don't have anything else, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Klein to adjourn and a second by Councilman Witten. Any discussion? Great. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yep.
Devine.
Yep.
Witten.
Yep.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Oh. You guys want to go have another hour of me? Sure. Keep on going. Yeah, hey man. Yeah.